Maybe, if it wants to work. We'll just have to find out. And Kibbs woke up. Good morning, Kibbs. Like, errors like that should not happen. Like, there's nothing that should make you have to hard reset your computer for a game. Like, that's retarded. So, now that we're back and split the VOD and everything is bad, terrible.
Yes.
Let's do that again. Ready to see the Memovira? Let's go in. So the hero returns. Of course I did, I'm pro. What is your plan for the Resonance Chamber? Blah, 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 blah. An 8-year-old boy was left honking with every breath after swallowing a party hooter. Article. Nice. Let me do this. As you can see, my agents have retrieved the Resonance Chamber from the reef, blah blah blah. Impossible, Tash! You're dead, I killed you! No, you didn't. I won't let that happen. Go ahead and try. I like how we level up, but we can't level up in the middle of the crisis. And then he fucks up big time. Oh, there's no lag at least.
Something new is wrong with me.
Event Horizon. What the fuck does that mean? He became invisible or something? How difficult would this be? Okay, how long does this last? Active 3 rounds. Let's fucking do that. Just don't attack her, dudes.
Surrender.
Immune to control! Oh, that's so lame. I hate shit like that. Like, really? Best you can do is just make them immune to things. Man, all our ciphers on this character are trash.
There we go.
You need to move away. And hide. You're level 1. Oh, sorry, it's level 2 now. Oh, you can talk to all of them. No, you can't. Yeah, I can talk to Tosh. Tosh reckon is too far away to talk, that's the problem.
My attack didn't feel strong at all. At all.
But it's also super common. I don't want to talk to you, Matkina. I want to talk to our sibling. Another wasted turn? Great. Love it. Breakfast time? Nice. Wait, why did I talk to this guy? Zarian Daywalker. Who the fuck was that? I really don't like Podge. And I don't know who Zarian really is. Scrambling some eggs with ham and cheese. Good enough. I waited so long for this. Why? Who are you? Ouch!
I'm surrounded. That's the stuff.
And here's the chittering again. Do we have any healing ciphers here? No good ones.
I could stand a little more of that.
Yeah, I have no idea what that. I don't know what it even is supposed to be. Gonna turn it down. Target enemy drops some of their possessions, then wanders aimlessly, never attacking, while the cure is active. Okay, if this doesn't work on the first cast off, then I'm loading. This is why I prefer systems that just show you all information. Like, you know exactly what's gonna happen if you use the thing on the thing. Pathfinder has a decent middle ground where you can, if you have enough lore, you can see. But I hate when you can't tell at all, and you just have to gamble. What RPG system do you normally play? Well, if you mean pen and paper, then nothing. But pen and paper is different as well.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. But I guess I mostly played D&D and a Swedish RPG.
Break my things? What did that toy ever do to you?
Oh, he died this time? Okay. Well, whatever. We can get armor now.
I'm surrounded. That's the stuff.
But I don't like D&D either. I think I've said that before a couple of times. I don't like RPG systems that revolve around levels.
I'm ready.
Not a huge fan of it in video games either, to be honest. Alright, what do we have here? 28 transdimensional damage. Both of you assholes.
Happy to help.
Then we walk behind. Does Cyberpunk has its own system, or is it basically just D&D? Something. I don't know what it's based on, or if it's just completely unique. No, you need to talk to Tash. He leers at her. This isn't at all. This isn't all you've forgotten, you know. I've been sapping your mind since we first met. You made it so easy. Always willing to believe what you hoped instead of what was. You're a bastard, Tash. Always were. Her weapon twists in her hand. When you're down, I'm going to carve pieces out of your brain, just like you did to me. He growls, his scowl deepening. Oh, we're already even on that score, Matkina. Your master penetrated my brain and twisted it like dough. He made me do things I didn't want to do and then be happy about it. Is that what you think he did? He saved me, Tash. The only way anyone could have. He did what he had to. Her expression suddenly softens. It's your master you should be worried about. She's blind to anything but her goal, oblivious to the cost along the way. Whether she means to or not, she'll kill us if she gets her way. He blinks, staring for a long time. You really believe that, don't you? He glances over the first. She's always done what's necessary to, even slaughtering cast-offs. He turns back and nods. Maybe you're right. I'll stop her. But this doesn't make you and me square, here? Alright, good. One person less to worry about.
A little surprise for you.
It's incredibly untanky, though. However, I need to get up there. That's the most important part. I wonder if I can get the teleport working.
I'm surrounded. Let's go.
The lines inside the brushed metal disc seems to be circuits, or channels for pulsing transdimensional energy. It might be possible to reverse these channels, allowing you to teleport yourself to the top of the stairs. Do it! Easy peasy. Energy bathes you in a warm glow, and then the world breaks apart around you. Excuse me? Energy bathes you? I didn't get teleported.
How odd. My attack didn't feel strong at all. At all.
Now we're gonna do, what,
You
30
will
damage?
suffer.
I think you might die from this. Yeah, she's gonna die now. Whatever that means. Just hope it doesn't trigger the event up
I
there.
will gut you.
Activate the chamber,
As
Massov!
if there
Bring
were
me back!
meat out of my skin.
That won't keep her down. Don't know what would, in fact. Here comes the bloom. No, Tosh is attacking me. You were supposed to not do that.
Let's go.
Talk to this fucking asshole. Get back! I'll put a neural lock on the chamber. It won't work for anyone but me. Remind Massov that he knows the resonance chamber better than anyone. Surely he knows the first plan will kill all the cast-offs. Good thing we are super duper at persuasion. He scoffs. That's ridiculous. We're just severing the tidal connections, the thing that draws the sorrow to us in the first place. How could that possibly? He trails off, gazing into space. His lips continue to move as he does calculations in his head. He blurts out, Skist! Skist! You might be right. Even if you're not, that's a heavy chance to take. I'll remove the neural lock. You should be able to activate the chamber yourself. He wipes a hand over his face. This thing's been nothing but trouble since our sires started it. I wish it had never been built. Alright, dude. Step out away from the machine. Am I supposed to talk to any of these dudes? I don't think so.
I bet your ancestors felt that.
Oh, here it comes again.
Look out, villains! Trouble coming your way.
This silly little sound effect. Zerion Daywalker, Paj Reckon. We don't like Paj either. But we most of all don't like Tosh.
You will suffer. Yes.
Posh is a bitch. Let's go kill Posh.
A taste of death for you.
Ow! Holy shit, that actually hurt. And the moths are friendly, because we have been nice to the bloom.
Could someone stab some healing into
Why
me?
did you do that? Why did you... Why did you super AoE the entire party, dude?
Let's go.
Activate the resonance chamber. What was that? That was just someone humming into the microphone. You give your hands over to the scraps of memory that once belonged to your sire. You close your eyes, fingers racing over the control console like a musician's. The light of the resonance chamber explodes over you.
Much better. That's the stuff.
Survive the Sorrow's attack long enough for the resonance chamber to charge. Whoa. That's really bad, because we just lost a character. Tremendous power courses through your body, building in wave upon wave. The resonance chamber has not even fully activated, yet you feel as though you could take on the Sorrow by yourself. Not too soon either. As reality comes back into focus, you sense something has changed. The Sorrow is breaking into the fortress. The power of the chamber might protect you, but not the others. You'll have to help them survive until the chamber can fully charge. Oh, we got healed? Okay. What does that mean?
Yes.
What can this thing even do? The control console flickers, dying. When you reach for it, a sizzling thread of electricity snaps at your hand, driving you back. Absorb all damage dealt by the sorrow or sorrow fragments. Weapon damage +5 when attacking. The sorrow or sorrow fragments. Plus 300% movement speed. 75% evasion, 75% willpower, 90% on all attacks. Yeah, oh, alright. In that case... I don't know what these guys are planning now. Like, are they gonna help us? They're still hostile, though. But, okay, where's Matkina? Matkina is there. I'm gonna run down here.
Let's go.
And then we're gonna use adaptation.
That's the stuff.
So we get the shield. And then haptic armor. +2 armor, +2 resistance on someone. How about I go and blast Podge? I don't like these guys still. They're assholes, all of them. Yep, no, they're still hostile. And we can't talk to them anymore either.
How odd. My attack didn't feel strong at all. At all.
Like a whisper. This should be
23 damage.
spectacular.
It's the fact that the warp dash only uses movement, so you can use it twice. So silly. What are you doing? Don't walk into that. Oh, is that where it's coming in? Something? Is that guy visible or invisible? What's going on there? Let's go and explore that thing. Don't know what that's supposed to be. No, I didn't want to go there. But sure, I guess. Oh, that means we can teleport from that too.
Look out, villains! Trouble coming your way.
We're probably gonna have to fall back, because I think this fire is going to spread.
Sure.
We knocked him down? Oh shit! Yep. I basically think it's the best idea to make a stand around the resonance chamber.
On it.
Nothing can stop me now.
Stay down.
Crit! Nice. How long it takes to charge this thing, though, that's another question. Bam.
My attack didn't feel strong at all.
Why did it gain health?
Something you might not expect. Like a whisper.
No mess up, where are you going? Now, come back! Oh, here he comes. Big boy. Big girl. They called her a she earlier. Big Zer. Zem. The thing is, we don't know what the sorrow even is. I don't necessarily feel like the sorrow is evil. I feel like the changing god is evil. He's just trying to escape his just rewards, more or less. Okay, so here's the thing, like... The sorrow is here. And I might have this super buff. But last time it did like 35,000 damage in one attack. We have 65 hit points. I don't know. This is really what we're supposed to do. Can mind control a sorrow fragment, maybe?
You should have run.
Immune to control. Never mind.
All right.
How odd. My attack didn't feel strong at all. At all. Nothing
I
can stop
fucking
me now.
hate that comment. I actually don't mind Eretis as a character. I just feel like we haven't gotten to do enough with it, mainly. Like we're not properly done with his storyline. But I feel like that with all the characters. Which is why I hope that this is not the end.
A taste of death for you. Yes! You want it done right.
And it would be kind of silly if it was. Dude, Masov, do you see the sorrow there? Why are you running in melee? Here it comes, he's gonna fuck you. Gonna fuck you. I told you, dude! Why'd you go in? Stupid asshole. Okay. Are you done charging soon? Like,
On it.
don't have a lot to work with here.
That's the stuff. I'm going.
I'm gonna go and hide inside.
Happy to help.
Fine.
Sorrow fire! Oh no! Never mind. The sorrow has built up an alarming amount of power. It turns its attention to the resonance chamber. Suddenly, the chamber explodes in shafts of light, touching everyone and everything in the fortress. It is activated at last. But it doesn't feel like you expected. An intense pain explodes in your skull and a wrenching tug in your gut. The chamber is pulling you inside it, forcibly ripping your mind from your body. And if the screams are any indication, you aren't the only one. I don't know. I doubt it. But we're not far away, if anything.
I'm ready to learn something new.
The familiar figure of the ghostly woman looks around her, seemingly even more confused than when you first encountered her here in your mind. Her eyebrows raise high in some sudden realization. It has begun. I thought you were a memory or a copy. Why are you here? She looks at you as if noticing you for the first time. I think I'm more than that. I don't know what fully, but memories are beginning to surface. Far more than before. I'm not certain all of them are mine, though. Which memories are mine? I can't even tell that much. You're a cast-off, she says, as though confirming it to herself. A spark of life left over, and your body was otherwise abandoned. She looks up and around her, as though able to see something you cannot in the black expanse. They're all here. The spark, the consciousness of every living cast-off is here now, in the labyrinth. They were drawn here by the resonance chamber. I thought the chamber would merge the cast-offs into a body, not the labyrinth. I was trying to destroy the chamber. The chamber was just a lever, she speaks, as though she's just learning this information herself. To destroy it, to prevent anyone from using its power. It's still possible, but not by flipping some switch in the real world. Your fate and that of your siblings will be decided here, in the labyrinth that connects you all. That has always connected you. There's a place called the Resonance, she intones, a door in the deepest fathoms. Eyes still closed, she points to a new portal that wasn't there before. The Resonance lies through there. You must find it. Your body is the key. Open it, enter it. Then you can stop the sorrow and be free.
I'll remember that.
Suddenly the ground and even the sky shake violently. You clutch your head, in pain, as though someone had pounded on the inside of your skull. Gradually the pain subsides. The air stills and quiets, but the ghostly woman's eyes are wide, her mouth agape. He's already here. The changing god has broken through to the doorstep of the resonance. You'll have to force the door open, though. You have time to reach him, to stop him. She looks gravely into your eyes, but not much time. If all living cast-offs were drawn to this place, then where are they? She shakes her head sadly. They are lost. The chamber drew in their minds and trapped them, each one within an illusion made from their fears and regrets. I can feel them now, her eyes shut tight and she bites her lip. Their pain, their torment. They don't realize where they are and they cannot escape, not on their own. If everyone is trapped in an illusion, why aren't I? She cocks her head to the side. Because you are the last cast-off, she says, as though it were obvious. Every cast-off who has met you tells the same thing. You are the latest version. Your body was designed for this. Did you never wonder why you could remember and control the labyrinth when no other cast-off could before? How do you know all of this? Her brow furrows. I am still asking myself that. When you and your siblings were drawn into this place, pieces of their memories filled gaps in mine. I know what happened to bring you here. I understand what is happening now. And I know where the changing god is and what he plans to do. She shakes her head, and yet there is so much I don't know. Who am I? Why do I know all this and you don't? I feel like I know the labyrinth. Why does it... She bites her lip, unable to voice any more questions. Why does it feel like this labyrinth was created for me? Does this mean that activating the chamber did nothing at all? What? That's not true. What? Not nothing. You activated the chamber and so have a greater power here than others. More clarity and control. I'll try to stop him. Farewell. Wait, there is one more thing. The labyrinth has become a volatile thing. Everything is changing. Even now I can feel the portal that leads to the resonance trying to close. Make sure you have everything you need before you descend. For once you start, you may not be able to return here at all.
I'm ready. Yes.
Level up, we can get an ability or a skill. I don't want to upgrade any of those skills, or we can increase edge. And I think we'll increase edge. Int or speed edge, that's the question. I think maybe int edge. Our int pool is so lower now. I don't want it. But we can't level up the others, even though they're standing here. Hello, waits here for you, as it has all along, looking more and more like it was born here, in your mind. Can we talk about you, Sluck, says, its eyes contracting. You sense very faintly that this is a regretful but firm, not now. Come with me. Meh, agrees. Okay. She idly flexes her transparent hands, humming a halting, tuneless little melody under her breath. The connection between you pulses with the rhythm of her song. Talk to Seria. I like your mind, the young woman says, peering around. Nice high ceilings. Yeah, we don't really say to her. Lady Ange. But who the fuck was Lady Ange? I found you! Where have I found you? Is that who I think it is? Yes! The woman strides toward you, all confidence and grace. She has none of the fear and awkwardness you remember. And yet, the eyes are still rims. The fear is gone, but the bright spark of innocence and joy is still there. Brighter than ever. Brighter even. She squeezes your shoulder with a firm hand.
Damn, you haven't changed at all. You're exactly like I remember you. I mean, Warmth and welcome on your road, stranger.
You've changed quite a lot. When she laughs, it's like a song, the sun bursting out from behind the clouds. I should hope so. It's been, what, 10 years? More? She shakes her head. I can't even remember. Her face softens and she squeezes your arm. But I'm still me. I grew up, but I'm still that little girl you rescued all those years ago. She cocks her head in the unique way Rin used to, looking at your pack. You're still carrying Teria, aren't you? Your expression seems to amuse her. She laughs and says, "That god of finding I gave you, remember? God's about. I can't believe he was strong enough. I was just a kid when I made him. It doesn't look like you aged much at all." "But we're in my mind. Your god helped you find me here?" She nods with pride. He's a more powerful god than either of us knew. I can't take credit, though. I hardly knew what I was doing. She smiles. I just knew I wanted to see you again. Teria is what came of it. It's good to see you again, Rin. She smiles, as warm and bright as the sun. It's good to see you too, old friend. I think about you all the time. I came because Teria called me back. He's under the impression that you need my help. She looks around at the twisting expanse of the labyrinth. I'd say he might be right. Where are we anyway? In my mind. The sorrow attacked again after you left. That sounds terrible. No wonder Teria called me. Well, I'm here to help if you need me. I appreciate it, but no, I don't need your help. I do need you, and I'm glad you're here. She grins wide. Of course, old friend. Come on. More speed edge? Bup? Did you just bup at me? How tall are you? You're outside this window. You still have these shitty gods, dude. Cannot be unequipped. Rin's Arbalest. 13 physical damage, plus 1 damage per effort applied, max plus 7. Cannot be unequipped? Oh, what the fuck? Come on. Holy shit, her cipher limit is insane. Let's see, what good ciphers do we have? I don't have any of my good ciphers here, it seems. And I'm giving them to her because she has... Where is it? There. Oh shit, she's super OP! She's 4 speed and 4 int edge? What else does she have? All other party members gain plus 10% on all tasks, plus 1 damage per effort applied, max plus 6 on everything. Animate Balefire, Gravity Manipulation, Space Warping Pulse that pushes or pulls out creatures, Blood and Bell. Deals 10 relativistic Norse resistance damage to all enemies in range who fail to resist, even on a miss deals 1 relativistic damage per level of effort applied. Plus 1 damage per effort applied. Hiding and Healing. Heals 20 points of health on all allies in range of target point. Okay. So basically, we want the item that's on Matkina, I think. Because that gave... Oh no, fuck, she can't equip it anyway. It has this bullshit. What about ornaments, though? I don't think I have any ornaments, though. That's an artifact. Artifact. No! Leave me alone, you vultures! Lady Ange, the entrepreneurial cast-off from Mila Best, is in tears. She flaps her ornamented hands desperately in the air, her face stretched in sorrow and regret. As you step closer, you catch shades, flickers in the corner of your eye, of what she is seeing. Luxurious fabrics, marvelous oddities, and expensive-looking devices of all kinds are arrayed around her like a horde, and several shadows are taking it all away from her. She tries to grab her treasures before they can be stolen, but her hands flap through them, like mist. Please, she cries. I can pay you back, just give me more time. Whatever you've lost, you still have your life. You can get the other stuff back. Of course, you're right. Do you hear him? Take it all, you leeches. I earned it all once, I will earn it again. As she speaks, all the shades and shadows melt away like a dream, and she returns to her right mind. Gradually, she recognizes you. Little brother? What a nightmare! My business had gone bankrupt, everything was taken from me. She shakes her head. I'm not ashamed to admit it's my greatest fear. Thank you for saving me from that. I feel like I've been given a second life. She looks around her for the first time. Where are we? What devilry has landed us here? We're in my mind, where Azir's resonance chamber drew us here. Is that so? She gets an odd glint in her eye. A mental landscape, perhaps. And you and I were able to dismiss those visions with mere belief. Wonder if... She holds out one bejeweled hand and focuses on it intently. Suddenly 2 vibrating crystal shards appear in the air above her hand, orbiting each other and emitting a sharp wooden scent. 1 second. Ah, she barks. I love this item. I import them from Harif, you know. They do nothing except add to decor, but I can sell them for far more than most oddities. She grabs the crystal and puts them into her pocket. It would seem this place lets me do more than shoo away shadows, yes? Can you make something that would help me in here? Let's see, shall we? Suddenly several useful items appear next to her. She smiles. Take what you like. Holy shit! A vendor that's free! A cacophony blade. we want that. Impossible blade. No, sapient blade. Yeah. Temporal hammer. 30% on melee weapon attacks. It also does 28 physical damage. Petronel. Range weapon. Cypher confers Gladiator's Will. +1 might, edge, +5 armor. Active until next sleep. And a bunch of healing items. Thank you. Can you produce anything you want in here? She looks at her hand, creating several different fantastical items. Some you recall seeing from her illusions, but also failing to create others. Not anything, it would appear, but some things I can't say I understand the methodology behind it. Related to my business, perhaps, I wonder. I have to go. Take care of yourself. This place looks incredibly unhealthy to stand at. Oasis Fathom, Village Fathom, Crafton Fathom, To Sorrows Fathom, Path to the Resonance, Daughters Fathom, Clock Fathom.
Whatever you need.
A lot of new fathoms in here.
Now.
Do we have time to explore them?
All right.
No, I ate all my cheese. So sad.
I'm going.
Choi, are you still just crying? Talk to Choi some more. Are you alright? Can you talk about what happened? No, she cannot.
Whatever you need.
Right, so these dudes don't really...
Let's go.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh shit, swimming! Jibra. Efimpi. Hello, Efimpi. What's going on here? This short, spare, lean-faced Jibra is so wrapped up in his work that he doesn't notice your approach. His multicolored scales look like they were patched together from an avalanche of shreds and scraps. He squeezes a strangely ticking device in his left hand, regularly checking the readings from his instruments. His expression changes with every glance, twisting from amusement to horror to disgust. Rhizomes are the answer, not trees, he mutters. We should never have believed in trees, roots, and radicals. They've made us suffer too much. He looks up at you in sudden surprise. You are not a lacuna? Then we are linked, you and I, by life and memory and torment. Tell me, brother, what was the nature of your illusion? He watches the device in his hand, as he awaits your answer. If there is no root, then even our sire is a sibling. We are all one. What illusion do you mean? We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. All of our brothers and sisters have been drawn into this place to keep us here while we await our destiny. The labyrinth constructs illusions from our fears, nightmares from our own self-inflicted torment. It takes the serenity of knowing oneself to free oneself. A shadow passes over his face. I was confronted by a scarred man from my past. Were I not certain that I had already truly forgiven him, I would not be speaking to you. Have I forgiven him or myself? What is the nature of our regret? Who are you? He looks up from his device and blinks. Who are any of us? I am a part of all that we have met. I am that part of you that can hear what you are saying. Fucking hippie. Looking down, he gives the device 2 sharp taps. A fimpy, he adds. What's a lacuna? Figments, constructions fabricated from our collective consciousness. Take Loyhan there, for instance. He points at a thin blue zebra nearby. He is neither a cast-off nor a reflection. There may once have been an actual zebra merchant named Loyan. I don't know. Or perhaps he's an archetypal conglomerate. Regardless, he is a dream, created entirely by the labyrinth. He doesn't even realize where or what he is. What is that device? Perhaps it also an illusion. He frowns. I seek to understand the nature of our shadows. Speaking with the others have been fruitless. So I observe, I measure, I hope. It's the latter that will be my downfall, I am certain. Are you a reflection of someone I've met? Haven't you been listening? I'm no reflection. No lacuna, no construct of your imagination. I am just like you. A cast-off, urged by the labyrinth, awaiting a destination. Yeah, we already know that we can free people.
You bet.
All right.
Wherever we are, though. An obelisk thrusts from the platform like a horn, or a claw, or a tongue. Its party-colored surface has a shimmer to it, and a slick texture. Not quite mineral, but not quite organic either. The garish appearance belies some ancient, even wise, that seems to radiate from the obelisk. As if it were here at the beginning, or close to it, yet retained its youthful energy. 4 runes are carved into it, symbols of a civilization that predated the truth. Examine the runes. They are simple shapes, something like a heavy quadruped in profile, a serpentine double curve, a 2-tinned comb, and a right-angled corner. But despite their simplicity, or perhaps because of it, their meaning is inscrutable. They could be simple glyphs depicting actual things from an ancient civilization, or symbolic ideograms, or phonemes. Phonemes? Or senseless graffiti. They could be a warning or an invitation, a name, or an epitaph. So goes man's attempt to instill meaning on our world. Examine the obelisk itself. You study the strange protrusion, seeking some meaning in its colorful walls and patterns. Like all Numenera, its exact nature is hopelessly beyond the ken of later worlds. But from your training, you have a basic sense of what it might be. Some kind of psychic battery, storing a person's thoughts or memories, or very self. Touch the obelisk. As you lay your hand on the slick surface, the patterns move and swirl like living plasma. Actually, no, they aren't moving at all. It was merely a hallucination of some kind. You have a sense that this has happened before, this and more. A memory shifts and contorts through your mind, like the colors on the obelisk. It's just a matter of catching hold of it. Try to capture the memory. A broad smile spreads across your face as you feel the wisdom welling from the stone. The 2 Jibra beside you, who helped scrap centuries of encrustation from the stone, sense nothing. Encrustation. From your satchel, you take a fleshy living artifact crafted with various devices and crystals. You lay it on the obelisk and watch as one of the crystals begin to glow faintly, siphoning off the obelisk's psychic emissions. You and you alone will reap the bounty of its teachings. As the memory fades, you sense that the obelisk's energy has dissipated in the time you were lost in your own, more recent past. The thing that had trapped the obelisk is long gone, that had tapped the obelisk is long gone. So whatever it meant to share has vanished into the ether. Very interesting. The thing and someone tapped it. The water pulses with the shimmering of this dark veil, belying the falsity of this underwater fabrication.
That's what I'm here for.
The wiry Jibber gives you a nod as you approach, his lips crooked into a friendly smile. although his relaxed posture suggests a measure of comfort with his surroundings. His hand is wrapped tightly, almost nervously, around a tattered leather-bound notebook. Inexplicably, the book seems unaffected by the water. Loyan Stoles, he says with another nod, census taker and demographer, plenipotentiary, by appointment of the Giash. He opens his book, leaning it back so contents remain hidden, and pulls out a quill pen. Might you spare a moment for a few questions? Is it really a good idea to use a leather book underwater? He glances first at the tome, whose marbled cover shows no sign of wear or tear, and then at the quill pen between his fingertips. After a moment he shrugs. I suppose it could be a Numenera of some sort, or maybe the leather is tanned from some sort of hydrophobic hide. He looks again from the book to the quill, and then back to the book. Strange, though, he concedes. Truth be told, I hadn't particularly thought about it. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Loyan nods excitedly, touches the quill to the page, and opens his mouth. Well, he gives an awkward laugh. I suppose I should. He blinks and shakes his head. With renewed enthusiasm, he begins anew. Yes, I'm sure the first thing to ask would be. He coughs and closes the book. Strange, very strange. Well, maybe you have some questions for me. Can I see that book you're holding? You may not, he answers. Out of the question, absolutely forbidden. He peeks inside it and snaps it shut again. As you can imagine, it is replete with sensitive personal information. The Giash vouchsafes the privacy of its citizens, and naturally, as the Giash's agent, I must do the same. I think there might be something important in the book. Please, let me look at it. Oh, all right, he mutters, but I'll need you to give it back to me right as soon as you're done. He hands you the book. Far from being full of personal information, it is overwhelmingly empty. There are only 5 pages that aren't blank. Each is a solid color. Indigo, blue, gold, silver, and red. In the center of each is your familiar tattoo, like a deletion, an absence of color. Still, something about them draws your attention. Examine the gold page. Lying prone on the dune, the pale grey cloak and cowl blending with the drit, you are suddenly invisible to the distant caravanners. They can no more see you than you can detect the iron wind howling their way. They are ignorant of the line being drawn across their lives, as ignorant of the calm before as they are of the coming storm. Later, this moment will matter. Not just for them, for the wind can know no master, but what it sows can be reaped, its fruits fermented into toxins. Your brothers and sisters are hard to kill. Faith is hard to kill. Too many of them still revel in the bodies your father gave them, groveling for the half-chewed meat he's tossed away. When the flesh fails, faith will follow. No one loves a father who can't protect them. The drit begins to stir. The wind is coming, and with it, change. You give those who lie in its way no warning. These are cast-off memories. There is some familiarity to them, but that's nothing new in this place. Examine the indigo page. Smells. Brackish water fouled with schist. Burning hair. Garbage rotting beneath the sun. It's you they're burning. Your feet are wet, but they're burning too. Differently. They're flayed, and the filthy salt water sets your nerves aflame. Why? Why are they doing this? Through the smoke, through the pain, you see a ruined land, poisoned, stripped, murdered. The natives want you to look at a stone tablet. They gibber about a contract graven in the rock, generations ago. A trade, a promise. It wasn't you who made it. You swear it. You swore it before as the folk first pleaded, and then howled about the living sphere they grew for you. How they sapped the land's health and drove the earth below, the sea to quicken the sphere. Madness. Pain and madness. Your entire life, pain and madness and fire. A few hours and nothing else. Then it will all end. It wasn't me. I wasn't even here. Death without reason. Punishment without crime. a legacy of ash washed away in a rising tide. Examine the blue page. There is a time to question and a time to obey. As a soldier, you know the difference. As a friend, even. Does she really mean to put her trust in this pedant? Pedant? His study is adorned with trophies and accolades. A particularly large one commends its recipient for solving a complex fraud permeating the entire operation of the caravanserai. Vanity, the very organization of the room, not a clutter, but a catalogue, is a shrine to self-love. As an officer, you disappear behind your ribbons. You obliterate yourself. The puzzle breaker has done exactly the opposite. Obedience. The order is given. Your job is to secure the services of a brilliant mind for whom no conundrum has proven insoluble. To ask, to wonder, to ponder. Those are tasks for another. Let the endless battle end. Let the dying stop. Examine the silver page. Across from you is a fellow cast-off, a fellow officer, a fellow gambler. Eyes inscrutable, cards impossible to guess. The other players are broke, their company's bonuses and leaves... Their company's bonuses and leave... Okay. Their company's bonuses and leave an even material pissed away at the table. Tomorrow some will die for want of shield ciphers. Others will live because the captain drew a trump card. Chance. But iterate chance enough, and probabilities become inevitable, and the battle never ends. It's leave you're playing for you and your soldiers. Nearly every company is being sent to Ansar to deal with the Chalcedon's assault, but one lucky band will have a milk run, and a good debauching. Not yours, though. The cards in your hand are low. You know your bluff will be called. Tomorrow, your grunts will be in the thick of it, and this Locknibber will be playing nursemaid to an Aeon priest. Luck. Dumb luck, grinding beneath it all, pride and striving. Examine the red page. You're singing. You were born singing. It shifts your senses away from the smells. It shifts your mind away from the shame. You like the doing of it, the escape from being trapped in your own thoughts. You've seen others that he made. Cast-offs. Strong and fast and beautiful. Human. Even a zebra once, swift swimmer, smelling of burnt copper. To yourself in the dark you sing of them, and their lives beyond the ghetto's bounds. You could leave, couldn't you? Any action, any change would surely be better. But perhaps not. Every song has its place, the space that holds its sound best, where echoes and reverberations harmonize. This is your place. He locked you here, for better and for worse. You are your own shackles. So, you sing. What all of these have in common is that they represent the opposite of each tide. Whatever that means. Return the book to Loylan. He seems happy to have it back. Your book is basically empty. The only pages with anything on them are just marked with my tattoo. The zebra's gills flutter in what seems to be an expression of agitation, and he clutches the book to his body. Well, basically, eh? That's an important qualification. Then he shakes his head and groans. Very well, I confess. I'm not even the one who filled out those entries. I think they've been there the whole time. He groans again. The chief demographer will have my scales, I fear. But, truth be told, there just doesn't seem anyone to interview. Odd, isn't it? He shrugs it off. I must be going.
Fine.
But we didn't get anything done here. Let's talk to Ifimpi again, see if we got any new options here. The illusion! No, I broke free from... He recognizes you, regaining his composure. Ah, welcome back, brother. Did you think I was a part of your illusion? He fidgets with the device in his hand for several moments before answering. Perhaps. You remind me of him, yes. He looks up at the sky, or what passes for sky in this watery fathom. This place, it is not good to stay here. Not good at all. And we free others from their illusion. Yeah.
That's something I can do.
Yes.
What was the point of that? Something about opposite tides. Save the children, Ning! Save them! Markina holds her weapons tightly and screams. As you come close, the shadows around her solidify. She is reliving the horrors of the attack on Koln, and for a moment, you are there with her. The first militia lashes out with their weapons, and the villagers transform into their monstrous forms again. Her weapons have no effect, and her dying friends scout blood that washes over her boots. Ning! Tick! I'm so sorry, I didn't know. The faces in her nightmare change and twist. You see the first's mask, Page's face, Melmoth, the Memovira, countless faces jeering and mocking, spilling their contempt across her. She fights savagely against the faces arrayed against her, each another stone in a wall of betrayal and mistrust. She is muttering and whimpering as if caught in a living dream, and you can hear her whispers. Traitor! Murderer of dreams! Butcher! My fault! Much must scatter you! Burn you! I'm here, Markina. You don't need to fight anymore. I'm here, Ning, she says. The shadows leer and twist around her, and a distorted version of Page's face looms in the air. She raises a flame lance high over her head and strikes swiftly. Markina knocks it aside, plunging a knife into the shadow's body. The ferocious heat from the lance washes over you, even as the lance vanishes. This illusion is powerful, too powerful to just talk her out of it. In a whisper almost too soft to hear, you hear Markina say, I don't want to fight anymore. Shake her to snap her out of it. Try to understand how you can help her. Her illusion is more powerful than it should be. She's aware of you, but just barely. What she needs is to stop fighting. And the only way she's going to do that is if she believes her enemies are dead. Perhaps you need to become one of her enemies. Shake her to snap her out of it. Come on, Markina. You put your hand on her shoulder to shove her, and she lashes out, quick as lightning. You snatch her hand away just in time. Come on, coward, she screams. Come and fight. Come and die for what you've done. Try to shake her again. You reach out again, barely pulling away in time to avoid her blade. This isn't working. Her illusion is too strong. You sense the knowledge you need to help her is in the labyrinth somewhere, but not here in this fathom. Get close and let her kill you. Yeah! You step forward, arms outstretched. She sees you and attacks, driving her knife into your gut. She's too tortured to hit any vitals, but it still hurts. You come closer and put your arms around her. Wah! She blinks, noticing you for the first time. Tash! No, who are you? She looks around at the shades you can barely see. They're all dead. Tears well up in her eyes. All of them. I did this. If it weren't for me. These deaths are not your fault, Markina. They're all my fault. I watched them die. I couldn't save them. And I never went back and...
I'm ready to learn something new.
She's not looking at you. She's not talking to you. But then her head snaps back and she sees you for the first time. What are you doing here? She steps out of your arms and quickly sheathes her weapon. Why the Black 3? That's embarrassing. I suppose I owe you gratitude for getting me out of here. The labyrinth. That's where we are, isn't it? I've dreamt of this place. You're my friend, Markina. You don't owe me anything. Her eyes widen for the briefest moment. I'll hold you to that, shall I? Forget all about that pouch of shins I lifted off you earlier. She laughs. Alright. Got a plan in mind? You want to join me again? Between that and rot down here, not much of a choice. She claps you on the shoulder. I'm with you.
Good. I'm ready. Fine.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Finally, we can... The leveling out of the way. When hidden or attacking a blinded enemy, automatically kill the target if it is below 40% health? God damn! Every attack she does blinds. Press advantage. Gain plus 30% critical success chance on attacks against targets with negative petals. Scatter Bomb. Attack all enemies in range, dealing 4 energy damage. Any enemies with negative petals that you hit are also pushed away a short distance. Myalgic Dust. Filling a cloud of nanoparticles in front of you. Bling. A cloud of nanoparticles. And for dazed, summon a psychic construct. Nah. Take press advantage. Okay, so here we can pick initiative, endurance, or running. I kind of want to pick running. You never know when you need it, or you might need it. The initiative is kind of whatever, to be honest. It kind of sucks that we have inability on endurance, because that's minus 5 hit points, but... She's so fucking slow! Get that up, not mind. Ability. Onslaught, Entropic Fields, Sow Dismay, Mind Control. Skill. I mean... You never know when you'll need persuasion. Could be any time now.
Hey, stranger, what do you need?
How have you been? How have I been? She laughs. How do you summarize a decade of life? She runs a hand through her hair. You note a pale line where her scar used to be. Life has been good, friend. I fight now, as you can see, a protector. Not for any love of the work, I grant you, but for love, absolutely. But you have given me so much more. My gods are strong. I've learned of a thing. Something my parents never taught me, and are not even sure if they believe. That the bonds of love make gods stronger. She chuckles to herself and brings out a worn, familiar stone. Some in Barath think I'm crazy, yet they cannot argue with the strength of my gods. Can they, all? She tosses the stone in the air and slips it back into her pocket. How are you holding up? Are you kidding? I'm reliving the scariest, greatest part of my childhood. There's no place I'd rather be. Want to talk about the people we're traveling with? Now? She glances over at them. I don't think that I have much to say. So, have the years you've been away given you any perspective on my coldness? Actually, I think I understand you better than I ever did. A blade that wasn't there before flicks into her hand. I've been betrayed too. Like a stab wound you can't heal. The blade disappears just as suddenly. Matkina flinches as Rin puts a hand on her shoulder. But you can heal it. You're the only one who can. She stares at Rin for a moment, and then smiles. You pick up that trick with the knife from me? If you're interested, I can show you other subtleties of the blade. She pauses. I'm glad you're back, even if it's at the end of everything. Right? want to talk about you again. Really? How are you holding up? Strong enough to make it to the end? I want to see this finished. I don't know who or what is behind this, but if the First has any part of it, I'll make sure she pays. I want to talk about the people we're traveling with. They'll stick for long enough, probably. Let's keep going.
Like a whisper.
Any more here?
That's what I'm here for.
You look up. The stone figure looks down, holding a circular symbol in its hand. Hair, or perhaps tendrils, curl from the edges of the hood that covers most of the statue's angular face. Abstract patterns race along the folds and wrinkles of the figure's robe. Examine the statue as a whole. It's not immediately apparent who the statue portrayed. Perhaps this was a major figure in another cast-off's life and found its way here somehow. You may never know. The symbol itself is a collection of shapes, a cross within a square, inside a circle. Touch the cross. You trace the cross with your finger and a vision cracks open your mind, showing you a billowing, towering creature screaming with 1,000 mouths. She is devouring herself. She is the Avenger, targeted for revenge, and she is dying. Release the cross and the vision fades. Touch the square. You lay your hand upon the square and a vision falls upon you, showing you a single figure kneeling at the peak of a jagged pile of bones. You cannot tell if it's a man or woman, but the cast-off tattoo is clearly visible. All you can hear are the whispered words, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Touch the circle. You brush your hand against the circle and a vision unfolds you in its arms, showing you a ghostly woman's face. The same ghostly woman you met in the calm of your mind. Anguish fades from her. Then the translucent light. For long her face is flesh once more. Pull the symbol free. A vision unfolds before your eyes. You tower over the world, crossing it with great invisible strides. Faces blur beneath you, a sea of them. But all of them have one thing in common. No cast-off tattoos. You and your siblings are nowhere to be seen. The image fades when you release the symbol firmly held in the statue's grip. Nonetheless, you still feel the rough edges of it on your palms, if only for a second.
Done.
Voices whisper to you from the gold expanse beyond this village. None of it's real. It's just the memories of your fellow cast-offs. These hovels are markedly different from the stone homes below,
Of course.
as if they were a different village.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Now, where is Eritis? I want to kick this fucking blob out of my party.
All right.
Though, the thing at the bottom, that's what I'm unsure about. Because that might be Ooms. Like, if we find Eritis here, then that's definitely Ooms Fathom. Tol Magur, I say we bleed her dry. No, wait, is this Rin?
You want it done right.
Tol, that's the slaver in the beginning that we spared after we beat her up. The slaver Tol Magur is here, her arms flailing across her body. Shades of her tide-addicted compatriots flicker around her. Substanceless specters radiate a burning ephemeral need. Her hands pass through them, and each time she looks as if she's going to vomit. Her feet are buried in the ground, she cannot move. You feel the tides coil within you. Perhaps as a response to the hungry ghosts that surround Toll. I know these shades. I killed them. But accidentally. I'm not a killer. I'm not. Toll, is that you? What is happening to you? She stops battling the shades for a moment, looking at, no, through Rin. I thought I heard something. A bird. Then she cries out as another shade flickers near her face. Those ghosts, I know them. They were people addicted to what she did to them. Without me around to temper her powers, she'd kill them. She turns to you. We should help her if we can. She was terrible to me, I know, but she needed me as well. She shakes her head. I'm not condoning what she did, I want to forgive her. She cowers, covering her head from a fresh attack. She seems completely unaware that either of you are even there. Walk behind her and break her neck. Lash the shades with tidal energy. At first, they lap up the tides, swarming around you as if for nourishment. But they cannot absorb it all, and they bloat and expand and become amorphous. Diaphanous. Diaphanous. Especially of fabric, light, delicate, and translucent.
Diaphanous.
Diaphanous. The shades fade away from around her, and she mouths silent gratitude. She rests her weary head on the floor of the labyrinth and sinks into the ground, leaving no trace behind. But why?
Like a whisper.
There's Eritis. Hey, I think we should part for now. Says, sagging. It does not follow when you move on.
Good idea.
Eritis stands, fists clenched and knuckles white, at the center of his aura. His golden cloud. It takes you a moment to realize what's different here. He's in a hollow place within the glow, though it is reaching for him, with hooked tendrils and jagged spines. Somehow, Eritis is holding the paragons and cathartics at bay. Eritis, what's happening? I can hold them back, he says hoarsely. They aren't in me here. I can leave them behind if I try. If I'm strong enough, Let us in, roars the paragons. We had a bargain, Eritis. You can't go back on it just because you didn't agree to it in the first place. Let us in, whines the cathartics. We are in danger out here. We are exposed. It is very cold. This is your mind. Separate the audience and Eritis for good. Following the wordless urges of your instincts, you plunge your hand into the golden cloud. Bloody crisscrossing lines race over your knuckles and up your arms. But the audience has no taste for you. You can sense its horror and disgust at being touched like this. With a grunt, you tear the cloud away from your companion. The audience screams as one. Honor, glory, hero, punish, error, error, error. A tiny star flares at the center of the golden dust in your hands. Another, and soon, a ripple of spider-webbing flame races outward as the nano-demons rupture one by one. The flames don't hurt, they tingle. At last, smoke rises from your empty hands and unburnt skin.
I'll remember that.
You turn back to Eritis. He is transparent, fading. He is no longer a hero, or a fighter, or a champion. What he is crying. Grateful tears pour down the herder's face, and he raises a single hand to wave goodbye. Then, Eritis is gone. No! That was him, wasn't it? The real Eritis. I mean, he was. He breathes deeply. Glorious. Boom sighs, reaching out to touch where Ertis once was. Then it looks up at you, eyes radiant with gratitude.
I'm going.
No. Alright. Boom, you can come again.
Done.
Philethys. As far as you can tell, this Philethys looks exactly the same as the one you met before. Perhaps is the same. As you approach, its hidden body seems to draw a deep breath, but nothing emerges. No words, no noise, no exhalation at all. Its glass mask seems fixed upon you, but it just as easily could be sleeping within. This thing just stands there, as if indifferent, until suddenly it speaks. How many motes of light spilled upon the ground before you moved the basin? You can feel no thoughts at all from within the robed figure. I don't know. The Philethys' glass face shimmers with iridescence for several moments before it speaks again. Yes, the old calf gets sour milk from its mother's teat. Those that seek sweeter suckling waste away, but never weep. The old herder spills salt tears, but the earth thirsts without tasting. Its mask darkens, but his voice carries on with flat indifference. Did you drink the light? What do you mean? A staticky hiss spills from whatever means of speech the Philethys employs. At last, without accusation or guidance, it says simply, "You know." No, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about. The old calf gets sour milk from its mother's teat. Those that seek sweeter suckling waste away, but never weep. The old herder spills salt tears, but the earth thirsts without tasting. I don't know, dude. The Philethys leans its bulk towards you ever so slightly. You do, but ask. What did the light mean? What do your questions mean? The thing's voice warbles as if an echo that precedes the sound itself. Eventually, words come. When the question is known, the answer is but a conclusion. What is the question? The Philethys' face shines, pearlescent, and his voice for once is heavy relief. Now you understand. A moment later, its robes seem to sweep inward, and it disappears. I can assure you that I do not. Wrapped around an aging stone pillar is a plated creature, unlike anything you've ever seen. It hisses at the air, but its eyes, rows of them, like a spider's, are fixed on you, glittering. It's just a statue, but your body trembles to look at it. It wants something, more than just flesh. There's a strong feeling of malevolent intelligence surrounding this statue that you can't explain. Even more worrying, however, is the sense of familiarity you get while looking at it. The feeling of malevolence, of predation. Predation? Reminds you strongly of when you first met Dracogen, the Bloom. You don't understand why this creature would remind you of that man, however. Try to figure out why this feeling is so familiar. Several memories strike you all at once. Not memories of your own past life, but those of your siblings. You see yourself prostrate before a creature exactly like the statue, but larger and more menacing. You're in tears, terrified. The creature stretches out a claw and some invisible force crushes your chest. A flash. Light from the creature's many eyes sears through your retina into your brain. You fall on the floor, aware but unable to move. In another memory, you storm through a burning village in search of some artifact. The memory races forward. You present that artifact to the creature. Another flash. You're kneeling before the creature. It speaks in your mind. Rise, my servant. Today you are no longer cast off. You are Dracogen, and you will henceforth speak in my name, and carry out my will in this world. The memories flee. You're left trembling. This thing is Dracogen, the real Dracogen. Not the man. It uses mortals for its own inscrutable ends, even as mouthpieces, as it did with the Dracogen you met in the Bloom. Several cast-offs have crossed it over the centuries. The creature finds the immortality and greed of your siblings useful, and their disregard for mortal lives convenient. This statue was constructed from their memories. One of them even served as a Dracogen long ago. Examine the statue again. Move side to side and see if the spider-like eyes follow you. The eyes remained fixed at the space you were standing before. Perhaps you just happened to notice them when you were standing in the right. With slow and deliberate care, the eyes swivel in their stone sockets and fix on you again. Feel the surface of the statue. Reach out to touch the scaled surface. The statue doesn't move, and you hear nothing beyond the sound of your breath, and yet you feel something watching you from beyond this place. A sudden heat bakes the palm of your hand. Something tells you that touching this statue is a bad idea. Touch it. Your fingertip scrapes across one of the gleaming scales. You hear a slow, angry hiss before clawed hands close over your head from behind and squeeze. The darkness closes and coils around you, crushing the air from your lungs. Shouted words from the breast strike your mind like misshapen burning meteors. Shouted words from the beast strike your mind like misshapen burning meteors. You try to scream, but nothing escapes. Nothing. You awaken by inches, every joint aching. Something lies heavy and cold in your hand. At first, you take the gem lying there for one of the statue's eyes, and then you notice that the serpent is still as whole, untouched as before. Ornament. 5 armor, 5 resistance. Okay? Leave it alone. Yeah, better than that one. For sure. God damn, we're tanky as shit now. Well,
Ready.
yes, it's back out. Not much more to do.
I'm going.
Yeah, but I'll be right back.
planning deaths? No need to hurry on my account.
Yeah, a bit sniffly today, it's annoying. Sniffles. Where's Eratis? I want Eratis back. Has this place changed? At all?
That's what I'm here for. Of course.
It has not.
All right.
Alright, I guess there's only one thing left to do. I think that's better. +1 speed edge and bonus damage from Esoteris. Do you have anything else that's super good? Sunspot icons OP. Hypercoolant spray. Devouring shell. +20 armor for 5 rounds. Eh. Sure, whatever. Keep that there. So something we should do is this, I suppose. Spread out some of the healing items, so we don't have them all on one character. That could be bad. And where's the speed ones? There. Be enough?
Yes.
This might be the final battle. Because the sorrow and the changing god are the only things we haven't really dealt with properly. Destroy them! Erase them in the name of their sire, or something like that. Or our sire. Rayma Syro. The glaive you met in Mila West stares at you with a wild fury and no sense of recognition. As though you were her most hated enemy. Another one! You've come too late to help the traitors. Kill them too! Surrender. I won't fight my brothers and sisters. Ha! A traitor and a coward. Pitiful. Eyes locked on you. Rima levels her weapon and fires.
I'm faltering. I'm hurt. Yes.
This ghostly corpse is the man you met earlier, the father of the ghostly woman, the one who had activated the machine that created copies of her. But why is he here? Something catches your eye within the corpse. A dark mass, filled with tiny points of brilliant light. Pick up the dark mass. The ghostly corpse offers no resistance as you reach inside it. The mass feels like nothing more than a pocket of warm air, but you're able to lift it out of the corpse and put it in your pack.
Of course.
Alright.
Consider it done.
Oh shit.
Here.
Ability or skill? Blood and Bell. Yeah, let's take intellect. Edge. She no longer has the single target healing, but now we have 5 int edge, so we can use this AoE heal that heals 30 on all allies in range. In an AoE. Medium AoE. For free. You ask for my deepest secrets. Is that not great? Compared to my life in a rotting shell? Everyone lives in a rotting shell. Surely you're not so selfish that you can't see that. There's no door or portal back to the fathom you came from. Only a diffused light with no discernible source. These mushrooms are reacting to the pulses of the rings. A sharp citrus scent fills the air each time their spores burst forth. Intense cold rolls over you with each burst of light. Presumably this machine was something of your sire's, constructed from cast-off memories.
One moment, and it's done.
Hello guys. You have walked into the middle of an argument. Neither of the speakers acknowledges your presence. Their concentration is fully engaged with the other. One of them looks like Andronus, the cast-off from Mila West, but he carries himself very differently. Confident, haughty. This must be Andronus before he was cast off. The other is the first cast-off, as you saw her in the Memovira's fortress, but noticeably less scarred and beaten, a younger version. No, Maralel, Andronus, or rather the changing god, says. I gave you my reasons, and I have had enough of explaining myself to you. Her eyes burn through the blank stare of her porcelain mask. I've aided you in your researches, uncovered secrets of the tide you never knew, would never have figured out on your own. I'm twice the thinker you are an accident. I won't deny the advantages your awareness provides, but do not deign to suggest that we are anything like equals. The first thoughts are jumbled and confused. Her mind is in a loop, reliving the same moments over and over. I can't tell you how much pleasure it gives me to see her trapped here. Pity. There's no other way out. We've got to help her or we'll get stuck too. She barks a laugh. Wouldn't that be ironic? Say nothing. He shrugs, supremely uninterested in her reaction. You're a part of me that's forgotten itself. You'll see. When I gather you back, all of you, and restore my daughter, then everything will be clear. You'll have that new body, mine. He frowns, but right now, Maralel, you're interrupting me. You're distracting me from my work. Because everything he's doing is to revive his daughter. Her voice, heavy with frustration, fraught and pleading. They call you a god, but your divinity is a joke. You lied to me. You never intended to get me a new body, did you? You were going to let me help you as long as you needed. And then you were going to cast me aside, just like you cast my body aside when you were done with it. And for what? You have a daughter. Well, we know that. Stop arguing. This isn't real. She throws her hands in the air. Stop arguing. This isn't real. It can't be. You were a father to me. But I see now what you really are. You're a narcissist. You have forgotten the fear of death. He falls silent, retreating deep into a reflective stillness. At last he says, I haven't forgotten the fear of death. I live with it every day, with the reminder of what it has taken from me. Do you realize that everything I do is in service of gaining it back? It's not just for me. His face hardens. What do you think you are to me anyway? We're your children, all of us. We're looking to you for guidance and help. We want to be your allies, but you keep setting us aside, and now you're withholding something that could save our lives. Now you're speaking for the rest of them, eh? Making yourself first among equals. Well, I have said this before, but apparently it wasn't clear to you, so I will clarify, and you can relay these words to the others. His voice is as cold as a dead star. I have but one daughter. You are not she. What are you doing here? She crosses her arms. What are you doing here anyway? Did you think I wouldn't find out you'd broken your promise to me? Oh, Marilel, his tone is patronizing. Have you come to tell me about the followers you've gained? Come to implore me to change my mind? Did you think to threaten me? I can't stand by while you withhold the power for us to rejuvenate ourselves. He sighs. I am not withholding it. There's no reason for you to seek rebirth as I have done. When my technology is perfected, you will be reunited with me. You have a daughter? ? She snarls. You have a daughter, right here. The one you're talking about has been dead for centuries, but I am flesh and blood. I am alive and begging for your help to stay that way. The look of empathy and compassion has disappeared from his face. You're not my daughter. You're a creation. You're a shell. Do you feel shame when you discard your old clothes? Do you feel pity when a doll burns? He points at her face. I feel as much connection to you as I do that mask. I don't hate you, Marilel. His tone softens. I don't despise you. But you need to look at this from my perspective. He gestures around. All of this equipment, all of the cast-offs, they're all just byproducts of what I began long ago. I must finish what I started. How will you finish what you started? She whispers. The sorrow hunts us because of what you've done. I know that, gods. He rubs his fingers angrily over his head. The sorrow is an unfortunate byproduct of my work. You know that. So my solution is simple. I'm going to find a way to bring you all back into myself. My mind will be whole again, and whatever evil the sorrow thinks I've done will be put to rest. It will leave the rest of us alone forever. It will leave us alone forever. Not us, you. If you suck us into your head, we will no longer exist. She shakes her head. I won't let you. We will find another way. He laughs, not scornfully, but as if she said something genuinely hilarious. How? How will you find a solution that has eluded me? By definition, you cannot. How do I get out of here? I don't care what you think. This life is mine. I will choose how to live it. My body is in the bloom. This is all an illusion, and I won't be part of it anymore. Your last cast-off believes in what I'm doing. I no longer need your approval. You're right. We're just pieces of your mind. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. Yeah, my body is in the bloom. This is all an illusion, and I won't be part of it anymore. My body... She shakes her head. Her mouth opens and closes, as if she's trying to speak, but nothing comes out. She holds her head in her hands. I don't understand. I don't understand anything. No, you don't understand anything, Maralel. That has always been the problem. I don't care what you think. This life is mine. I will choose how to live it. I don't care what you think, she says with conviction. This life is mine, and I will choose how to live it. As soon as she speaks the words, something snaps in the air. She blinks several times, her eyes suddenly clear. The illusion is shattered. She startles and gapes at you. The changing god's avatar dissolves into dust and memory, as if it had never existed at all. A portal opens where he stood, beckoning you further into the labyrinth. Its grasp is undeniable. She crosses her arms and regards you quietly for a moment. Why did you choose to save me from that? It was the right thing to do. She says unconvinced. Well, I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but it doesn't change anything. Then she turns abruptly and strides to the portal. Without turning around, she says, "Thank you." Then in a brief flicker of light, she's gone.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready.
They're really shitting out the levels here. Why would I give Rin medium weapons? Oh, well, fair enough. It is a medium range weapon. So it would actually give her a higher chance to hit. But it also kind of sucks ass, doesn't it? This spell is pretty fat, though. "16 relativistic damage in a small area." Fine. Let's grab that. Matkina's Edge. The thing is, I don't feel like I need more speed for Warp Dash. But there's nothing else that's worth grabbing. Like, this is speed. Speed. But this doesn't cost anything? No. It's using tidal energy. Yeah. And just speed it. Oh, you have another level? Inability decreases health by 2. So all we're getting if we take that is 2 hit points. Let's up initiative. Healing. Do you even have a healing skill? Don't, right? Oh, it's who does the title effect dialogue option. Oh, I see. More ranged weapon, I guess.
Of course.
The dominating image on this panel is a map of the room. 5 platforms in a circle around the central platform. It looks like controls to raise the floors, connecting the various platforms. Deep cracks radiate out from 3 different places, as though someone had smashed the panel in a hurried rage. The controls are unresponsive. And yet you feel something. The floors are like those in the deep fathom. Here you first awoke, after your fatal fall. The platforms as well as this control panel are mental constructs like everything else here. They should respond to your will, if you just exert it. You can use tidal surges. Let's try to do it without. Focus your will on the floors of this fathom. Command them to rise. You stretch out your mind, trying to feel the tides flowing through this place. You can certainly feel their energies, but the floors remain stubbornly inert. Apparently it won't be that easy. The tides surround you, swirling throughout the entirety of the place. You exert your will, pushing power through those channels and into the control panel. Even as you watch, the glass reshapes itself, the cracks healing, as though they were never there. With a hum and a chitter, the controls come to life. The platform you are standing on pulses with an orange glow, showing the floors in their current state. Touching the platform on the screen should shift the floor. A familiar voice echoes from the depths below. You're still here then? I had hoped the labyrinth would trap your mind as well, but apparently I made your body too well. But you don't have enough power to stop me. I've already breached the outer defenses. Go ahead, solve your puzzles, it won't matter. In a little while you'll be nothing more than a whiff of nostalgia in my mind. The voice fades to nothing.
Fine.
The map on this control panel is fully functional. The platform you're standing on pulses with an orange glow, showing the floors in their current state. Touching the platform on the screen should shift the floors. Connect this platform to the one on your left. With a hum and a rattle, pylons rise and fall from the depths, changing the shape of the room. Something rumbles in the depths beneath you. You feel a blast of wind, then nothing.
Consider it done.
The map on this control panel is fully functional. The platform you are standing on pulses with an orange glow, showing the floors in their current state. Touching the platform on the screen should shift the floors. There's an extra image here that was not visible on the other panels. A human figure is in a dotted outline. It flickers erratically, as though something were wrong with it. Press the flickering image on the human figure. As you place your hand on it, something activates within the panel. Not just this panel, but every panel in the room. The circular station on every platform glow, and the image of the human figure begins to pulse regularly, as though waiting for input. Press the pulsing image of the human figure. Tiny needles puncture your fingers. There's a flash from the circular synth plate next to the panel, and a finger-long blade in its center starts spinning and humming around its axis. As it spins, it projects a three-dimensional image, very similar to yourself. Your own body flickers in and out of phase. The blade spins faster, brighter. Your body's flickering accelerates until finally the blade dissolves, and standing on the platform is a fully grown human that looks remarkably like you. The figure before you looks almost exactly like you, but a woman instead of a man. She doesn't bear your scars, but otherwise her face is like a mirror. "Hello," she says pleasantly. "You must be me." What happened to him? He did not treat our body all that well. Who are you? Well, I am a short-lived version of you. She looks up and down. She looks you up and down. Basically, our creator used these cloning stations to rapidly prototype different body types and features before deciding on a final shell for his consciousness. She looks at the control panel. These look different from the controls I remember. It looks like I'm stuck on the most recent setting. She flashes you a smile. Not that that's a bad thing, of course. I'm sure you won't mind. If you only live a short time, how do you know all this? Oh, that's the most interesting part. Our creator always likes to process things externally, to have someone to talk to. He constructed assistants all the time. I wasn't able to maintain my memories from version to version. That way I could provide more useful feedback on how one body moved or felt compared to another. Our progenitor would even have me perform tasks from time to time, or sometimes mundane, sometimes dangerous. The fact that I could learn from my mistake was a great help. If you're me, then why are you a woman? Our progenitor was funny like that. Gender for the next self was always a last-minute decision. Our creator was never content with one, or even two, genders. It was a fungible thing. He would constantly explore and experiment, even trying Vergellen, Gebra, and direct bodies at different points. She stops, looking more thoughtful. You know, even after centuries with our creator, I can't explain the fastidiousness about gender. It's just the way he is. The Vergellen was very interesting. I'm surprised he didn't choose that body more often. Would you perform a task for me? Like, walk to that other station and toggle the floors. She gives you a funny look, but says, "Sure, I can do that." Blah! She exploded in
Done.
a cascade of blood. Connect this platform to the one on your right. With a hum and a rattle, pylons rise and fall from the depths, changing the shape of the room. Something rumbles in the depth beneath you. Feel a blast of wind, then nothing.
You want it done right.
I feel like we only have a certain amount of tries here. Press the image of the human figure. Want another clone? Hello again, brother. Can I help you with something? I need you to toggle the floors at the other station again. Sure, why not?
All right, here we go.
This is important. That's why we need to go here first. It's a Stasis Chamber, exactly like the one from the ghostly woman's memories. There are no controls on it anywhere. Nothing that could help you raise the floors to reach the depths of the labyrinth. A woman lies inside, barely visible through the shimmering energy field, and looking as though she were asleep. Her features are exactly those of the ghostly woman. Something disturbs the air next to you. The ghostly woman's face begins to appear, as though your thoughts summoned her. You did summon me, she says. intuiting your thoughts. I can discern your memories more clearly than the others, even more clearly than my own. She looked sadly down into the chamber. But I remember now. This is who I was, the daughter of the changing god. He was the father who tried to save me after the siege of the Tabat. He discovered how to transfer consciousness, my consciousness, into a new body, hoping it would save me, but it didn't. My sickness followed me in my mind, so he put me in here. He tried to find a cure for me, and when that failed, he tried to bring me back from death itself. He thought I was unconscious in there, but I remember. The memories are fragmented, but they're there. I was aware of everything, and with so many new memories flooding my mind, I'm able to fill in the gaps I didn't know. Does this mean you're a cast-off? Her eyebrows scrunch together, then she shakes her head. I don't think so. I had my own consciousness like my father does. This is who I was. Now I'm probably just a memory stored forever in the labyrinth. How often has he tried to bring you back? Considering he had centuries to do it, not very often. A lot at first, then. Only when he remembered or had some new idea. He used the probability engines underneath Sega's cliffs to birth women with my personality. He tried to use Heaven's Rejoinder, his means for turning back defeats in the endless battle. Once he tried to kidnap a version of me from an alternate reality, but she died in a tragic accident. He never tried that again. What am I to you, father? Did you just give up? How much do you remember from being in that tank? I can't tell you in time measurements. I only know I was in the tank until the sorrow attacked us. My father fled, saving himself. She laughs once, but there is no humor in it. Maybe he figured he could bring me back even without my body. It's the kind of thing he would assume. Her face darkens. Maybe he didn't care. Does that mean this fathom is constructed from your memories? She looks around her, taking it all in for the first time. I don't recognize. No, wait, yes. It's all twisted and distorted, like in a nightmare. But yes, I think these are my memories. I need to get to that portal. Can you build me a path?
I'm ready to learn something new.
She looks you directly in the eye, strong and certain. Yes, I can. Thanks, babe. Go, she says. Stop him. He's harmed more lives than anyone can count. I'll stop your father. Farewell. Oh, level up. Extra stat point. Can't get intellect at all. Oh, tier 6. Achievement unlocked. Limits of human capacity. Scatterbomb. We unlocked Charm. Automatically succeed on the next persuasion, deception, or intimidation task. Wait. Didn't we pick something like that just now? No, that was Quick Fingers. Alright, let's grab that. Now, Plague Spirits, I don't really know what that does. But I don't really want anything else, so... For lack of anything else to pick,
You
let's
want
do
it
that.
done right.
I'll remember that.
This massive door leads to the resonance, but it's barred by a sturdy brass cage.
Yes. Now.
Isn't this like where we came from in the beginning? Countless scratches and wounds mar the surface of this door. Someone made a great effort to get inside, but to no avail. As you approach, however, the bars of the door shudder and bend, It wants to let you in. Place your hand on the surface and it will open. The door doesn't open at your touch. Instead, you are drawn into the door itself. I have a feeling of what's gonna happen or what we're gonna find out, but I'm not sure. You're in a glass dome, several kilometers above the ground. Blue sky fills your vision. Beneath you is a floor of golden metal. A deafening klaxon blares in warning against something. A familiar-looking stasis chamber lies in the center of the dome. A chest fashioned from synth and cold iron sits to one side. Behind the pod, a diamond hovers in the air, scattering prismatic light. A pedestal glows near your hand, a deep azure blue. There is nothing that seems to warrant the blaring klaxons, yet you know the alarm sounds for a reason. Look at the chamber. It's the ghostly woman's stasis chamber, the real one, from which the labyrinth constructions were made. The changing god's daughter lies inside. Her skin is pale, and there are dark circles around her eyes. Her chest rises and falls as though she were sleeping soundly. This laboratory, this body, must belong to the changing god. Investigate the hovering diamond. As soon as you approach the diamond, the top of it blooms open. An illusory globe appears within. Words and images speed across its surface. A woman's voice speaks directly into your mind. Welcome back. Please state your query. A wave of familiarity slams into you. The changing god used this as an archival device. He kept records of his thoughts and experiments. Specific records can be retrieved by speaking the search term. Daughter. The illusory globe becomes blank. The voice speaks into your mind. There are no matching entries. Please restate your query. The tides. Videos of several entries flit through your mind. There are scores of results, and you can't figure out how they're organized, nor how to quickly ascertain whether an entry will be useful to you or not. It takes some time to sift through them for something useful. You will have to be careful what you spend time researching. Finally, you find one that's what you're looking for. A male voice, the voice of the body you are wearing, speaks in your mind. Your voice says, the tides have proven to be an extremely fruitful path of exploration. The Tabat don't realize what they have unearthed. They saw these trinkets as just more Numenera, but these forces may even have the power to turn back death itself. I certainly hope so, for her sake. The Tabat. The voice says, the Tabat were fools, but they were skilled scavengers, gifted with the luck of having discovered the underspine. I still don't know what this underspine is, but I'm convinced it came from the Dalad. The same people which I gleaned the powers of the tides and figured out the key to consciousness transfer. It's the best explanation for the Tabat's success. Without the underspine, they're little more than abhumans, of above average intelligence. There's a thunderous boom. The floor shakes and sways beneath you, causing you to lose your balance. Outside the dome, the horizon tilts back and forth, giving you a sense of vertigo. Suddenly, a man appears in front of you. He's not all there. You can see the clouds and vista on the other side of him. He wears a look of human terror on his face. It's broken into the tower. It's only a matter of time before it reaches us here. We have to do something fast. His mannerisms remind you of the spectre from the labyrinth, though his face, clothing, and voice are not the same. Return your attention to the Stasis Chamber. Outside the glass dome, the horizon moves slightly as though the entire laboratory were swaying several kilometers up in the air. In the middle of the room is a large chamber with a figure inside it. Open the chamber. The spectral man appears between you and the chamber. His hands are raised in front of him, placatingly. Hey, what are you doing? If you open that, Mika will die. Shut up. What are you? He gives you an odd look. Now's really not the time to get into this again. I'm an intelligence, put in charge of this laboratory, and either created from or overlaid with your knowledge and personality. As your advisor, I refuse to argue about the nature of my existence until we're safely out of this. Tell me about the girl in the chamber. You mean Mika? He looks at the chamber and it's difficult to read his expression, but he seems sad. She's no better than she was before. Worse, actually. I hate to say this, but I don't think we can save her. Open the synth chest. The chest is locked with a keypad bearing 17 strange symbols. You're about to lose hope when you realize you know which symbols to press to unlock the chest. You enter the correct code before the memory can slip away. The chest opens with a soft click. The only items of note are a wooden shaft with a multicolored crystal tied to one end, and a large hemisphere made of Azir steel. Examine the Azir steel dome. It's heavy, too heavy to lift by yourself. Your best guess is that it's a wall projector of some kind, probably brought up here as a defensive measure for the laboratory. Unfortunately, you can't see any indication of what kind of barrier it would create, nor any way to activate it. Examine the rod with the crystal on the end. There is nothing mystical about the wooden haft, but the crystal on the end is definitely from a prior world. You think it might be a domination rod. The crystal saps the will of any creature it touches. Take the domination rod. Go back to the archival diamond. Dalad, consciousness transfer. Mika. Your voice says, Mika's condition has not improved after the consciousness transfer. If anything, it has worsened. I've traced the cause to the weapon I retrieved from the Tabat after their failed siege of Sega's Cliffs. But damned if I know how to undo its effects. There's an agonized pause. I don't understand. I should be able to figure this out. I will figure it out. I just need more data. I've discovered a theoretical process to merge my consciousness with hers, but I just need more data. With luck, I can run experiments in the next few days. Merge consciousness. There's only a single entry for that query, the same entry from when you queried the word Mika. The entry said he would try it in the next few days, but that entry is dated several months ago. If he did try it, he never entered anything about it into the archives. Maybe the spectral advisor knows more about it. Dalad. Unlock the other entries. Okay. Unlike the other entries, this one is not in your voice, but the female voice that belongs to the archival diamond itself. The Dalad people are believed to have existed long before the Ninth World. Dalad is probably not what they call themselves. Their true name is unknown. They made great use of a force referred to in these archives as the Tides, using them especially to affect individual psyches. The civilization of the Dalad did not decline, but was completely wiped out by a creature called the Sorrow. Suddenly, there is a tremendous popping sound. The air sizzles, causing every hair to stand on end, and your entire body to tingle dangerously. The spectral man appears in front of you again. It puts its hand on your shoulders, though you feel nothing. It shattered the electrostatic shield. If it breaks through the plasma window, we're done for. It looks at the hatch in the ground as though it could see through it. What's your plan? You've got a plan, right? What happened when I tried to merge my consciousness with Mika's? You don't remember? I guess that's why you made me. He chuckles, and then his face grows serious. You never tried to merge your consciousness with hers. After researching it for a while, we discovered that doing so would snuff out your personality. You weren't content with me being the only one of us left. So we rejected that option, and kept searching for some other way. Why is the sorrow here? What does it want? I couldn't tell you what it wants. Maybe there's something in your archives. You told me we woke it up somehow when we did that first consciousness transfer. I want to do it. Let's merge my consciousness with hers.
I'll remember that.
He shakes his head. I'm afraid we can't. You rejected it before we could implement any kind of experiment. We'd need some kind of psychic substrate for your consciousness and hers to reside in simultaneously. Then we'd need a catalyst of some kind to create the resonance that would merge you with her. It's certainly possible given time, but the sorrow is at our doorstep. Go back to the archival diamond. The sorrow. The voice says, I don't know what the sorrow is exactly, just that it's old. Really old. And it doesn't pay much attention to established laws of space-time. I wonder just how established those laws really are. Anyway, I first came across mention of it in my research of the tides. It appears to have been some kind of guardian against tidal abuse. Evidence suggests that it might have been solely responsible for the destruction of the prior worlds. The voice sighs. My experiments with consciousness transfer appears to have woken it. I don't believe it's after me specifically, but I have come to believe it was responsible for the destruction of my previous laboratory. So the sorrow must have destroyed the Dalad because of how they abused the tides. If the weapon that caused Mika's illness was from the same civilization, then it stands to reason her illness is tidal in nature, like a tidal surge perhaps. If so, maybe there is some way you can undo it. The spectral advisor may know more. There's a hiss and a screech beneath the floor. Suddenly, the metal hatch flies off its hinges, cracking the strong glass ceiling, then smashing the glowing pedestal. The spectral man's image disappears. A foul black cloud rises from the hatch, and the air is filled with an unearthly wail, and the stench of rotting flesh. Tendrils lash out, slicing metal and synth wherever they touch it. A terrible face emerges from the cloud. It examines you, then it turns its attention to the chamber. Use the domination rod against the sorrow. With a shout, you shove the crystal deep within the sorrow's form. Nothing happens. The sorrow turns its horrible attention to you. One of its tendrils dart toward you, slicing through both the strong glass wall and steel floor. It reaches your face and you feel nothing. The tendril goes right through your body. You realize that the dome is fading away. No, your body is fading away as some device hugs it safely away to another location. The sorrow's unearthly wail becomes a shriek. Though the spectral advisor is gone, you hear his voice in your head. Thank goodness the failsafe kicked in. You'll be safe, though the girl and I are doomed. I'll be easy to recover, but I'm sure you'll. He cuts off as the sorrow's tendrils flay the laboratory all around it in a blind fury. The chest and diamond are cut to ribbons. The chamber disintegrates in a ball of purple flame. And the last thing you see as your mind fades from this body is the face of the young girl, melting and boiling into ash.
I'm ready to learn something new.
Well, we were one step away. I'm so pissed. The ghostly woman appears next to you. She stares at the door you just emerged from, her eyes as round as the moon. I remember now, all of it. I told you I was aware of everything while I was in the chamber. I remember my father abandoning me. I remember too how you risked your life for me. After the sorrow destroyed the Stasis Chamber, I woke up here in the labyrinth. I wasn't aware though, not for a long time. Not until you came and started changing things. What do you mean I started changing things? But I couldn't save you. You tried, which is more than I can say for my father. You risked your own life. She sighs deeply. Besides, if you had died in there, you and every other cast-off would never have existed. Maybe there are some realities you can't change. What do you mean I started changing things? She looks at you. Her eyes are brighter now, full of confidence. You are the last cast-off. The one my father created to witness this place. You command it. You have been changing the labyrinth since you were first born. You are the one who will decide our fate. So you're not just a memory. No, she says, firm and certain. I am not a memory, nor a reflection, nor a lacuna. I am Mika, the full consciousness of the changing god's daughter. In the mirror, the advisor said we could cure you by merging your consciousness with your father's.
I'm ready to learn something new.
Her eyes widen. Could it be? Yes, the resonance could be used for that. She shuts her eyes with a wince and says, but it would require all your consciousnesses, not just my father's. No, I cannot ask you to do that. The price is too great, like those my father paid in his attempts to bring me back. Well, I mean, she doesn't want to. I understand all that I need to. So, what do we do now? She points to the door on the opposite side of the fathom. There is one more mirror. Enter it. Open the resonance and end this. For all of us. Alright, let's do this. Failed. I don't know if I failed, but I still want to load quick save.
I'm going.
I just want to see if we fail or not. We were so
Making a
close.
note.
Annoys me too much.
I'm on it.
Look at the chamber. It's the ghostly woman's Stasis Chamber. The real one, from which the labyrinth constructions were made. The changing god's daughter lies inside. Her skin is pale and there are dark circles around her eyes. Her chest rises and falls as though she was sleeping soundly. This laboratory, this body, must belong to the changing god. Investigate the hovering diamond. Touch the pulsing... Please state your query. The tides. You finally found what you were looking for. A male voice, the voice of the body you are wearing, speaks in your mind. The tides have proven to be an extremely fruitful path of exploration. The Tabat don't realize what they have unearthed. They saw these trinkets as more than Numenera, as just more Numenera. But these forces may even have the power to turn back death itself. I certainly hope so, for her sake. The Tabat. The Tabat were fools, but they were skilled scavengers, gifted with the luck of having discovered the underspine. I still don't know what the underspine is, but I'm convinced it was from the Dalad. The same people from which I gleaned the powers of the tides and figured out the key to consciousness transfer. It's the best explanation for the Tabat's success. Without the underspine, they are little more than abhumans of above average intelligence. It's broken into the tower. It's only a matter of time before it reaches us here. We have to do something fast. His mannerisms remind you of the spectre from the labyrinth, though his face, clothing, and voice are not the same. Go back to the archival diamond. Consciousness transfer. The consciousness transfer was a success. I transferred Mika to a new body first, a clone of her original. There appeared to be no ill side effects after several days, so I performed the procedure on myself. I'll be watching both of us carefully over the next few weeks. but thus far I am very hopeful. I'm sure there will be unforeseeable long-term effects, but for the moment it seems to have found a way to stave off death itself. I cannot imagine any long-term effects that could outweigh that benefit. Mika. Your voice says Mika's condition has not improved after the consciousness transfer. If anything, it has worsened. I've traced the cause to the weapon I retrieved from the Tabat after their failed siege of Sega's cliffs, but damned if I know how to undo its effects. There's an agonized pause. I don't understand. I should be able to figure this out. I will figure it out. I just need more data. I've discovered a theoretical process to merge my consciousness with hers, but I just need more data. With luck, I can experiment in the next few days. I can run experiments in the next few days. Suddenly, there's a tremendous popping sound. Air sizzles, causing every hair to stand on end, and your entire body tingle dangerously. The spectral man appears in front of you again. It puts its hands on your shoulders, though you feel nothing. It's shattered. The electrostatic shield. If it breaks through the plasma window, we're done for. It looks at the hatch in the ground as though it could see through it. What's your plan? You've got a plan, right? Go back to the archival diamond. The lad? The Dalad people are believed to have existed long before the Ninth World. Dalad is probably not what they call themselves. Their true name is unknown. They made great use of a force referred to in these archives as the Tides, using them especially to affect individual psyches. The civilization of Dalad did not decline, but was completely wiped out by a creature called the Sorrow. The Sorrow. I don't know what the Sorrow is exactly, just that it's old. Really old. And it doesn't pay much attention to established laws of space-time. I wonder just how established those laws really are. Anyway, I first came across the mention of it in my research of the Tides. It appears to have been some kind of guardian against tidal abuse. Evidence suggests that it might have been solely responsible for the destruction of one of the prior worlds. The voice sighs. My experiments with conscious transfers appears to have woken it. I don't believe it's after me specifically, but I have come to believe it was responsible for the destruction of my previous laboratory. So the Sorrow must have destroyed the Dalad, because of how they abused the Tides. If the weapon that caused Mika's illness was from this same civilization, then it stands to reason that her illness is tidal in nature. Like a tidal surge, perhaps. If so, maybe there's some way you can undo it. Spectral Advisor might know more. Yeah, okay. So once you find that out, this always happens. Attack the Sorrow. You charge the Sorrow with your bare hands, crying out in anger and fear at an attempt at courage. The Sorrow turns its horrible attention to you. One of its tendrils start toward you, slicing through both the strong glass wall and steel floor. It's the same thing. Alright. Well, now we know that we didn't actually fail. And then... Oh, before she comes out. Oh, the failed one again. Oh, there is not much time. Oh, another level? Increase edge, speed edge.
On it.
The light around the door's frame dims and flares like a roaring fire in a high wind. As you approach, the bars of the door shudder and bend. It wants to let you in. Place your hand on the surface and will it to open. The door doesn't open at your touch. Instead, you are drawn into the door itself. A world revolves far below you, a sunset in scarlet flaring on the horizon. To the east, deep indigo shadows fall, painting the planet with darkness. The faintest shimmer of a force screen distorts your vision, and the exhalation of the station pushes warm, moist air across your skin. The view is familiar, though your recollection of it is hazy, as if it were filtered or blurred through tears. Oh, I see where we are. We're up in the moon, where we were born, I suppose. Or where we were thrown out. You hold an intricately filigreed metal staff. Its carvings slither under your fingers, as if it were alive. You are in a great hall that is more like organic space than a constructed room. Machinery literally sprouts from the floors and walls, with no sign of where the synthetic metal gives way to the substrata from which it has grown. Though humid, the halls feel clean and fresh, healthy and vibrant, full of promise. A holographic map of the moon hovers at the back wall, near a small glowing pod. A voice speaks, as from the air itself. Are you certain this procedure will give you final control over the cast-offs? If you're mistaken, the chamber may fail, or worse, detonate with you inside. The voice is familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on its identity. Raise Silver Tide. Of course I'm certain. Now make it happen. What are you talking about? You had me run the calculations, remember? I told you that there was a slight chance it might explode with you inside. Though the chances were vanishingly slim. And, come on, it was only the other day. I realize you've a lot on your mind right now, but we need to focus. We've been trying to get this right for years, centuries. The resonance chamber is ready in Sagas. Just need to make sure this body will work as a catalyst. If something happens down there, I'll signal you to move to the next vessel. And if you don't get out in time, well, you've got me. Let's hear it for redundancy. For now, just settle into the pod, and we'll make sure this body will work for us. You have pinpointed the source of the voice. It's coming from the staff in your hands. You peer at it more closely, and you see a glowing, ghostly image. The holographic advisor from the other mirror. Oh. No. This advisor looks different, augmented. It has the ghostly blue-limbed, smoky appearance of the Spectre. It is the Spectre. Try to remember how the staff works. You study the staff, and it feels like coming home. It's a familiar friend, a comforting ally. It's the cornerstone to this moon, a key to every lock. You know that it copies your mind weekly, serving as a failsafe and a familiar. A consciousness that is your natural ally. When it speaks with the Spectre's voice, and when it must manifest, it can create a ghostly image of the changing god's original body. Holding it, you feel safe, in control. Remind me how the process works. We're going to run the final assessment on this body. Complete scans, review, title adjustment if necessary. We'll verify that all of the parameters are within tolerance. Settle into the pod and I'll take care of the rest. Step into the glowing pod. You glance around the great hall one last time, your gaze lingering on the map of the station, and walk to a small chamber near the vast hallway. A deactivated construct stands nearby in a state of partial disassembly, its hands thrusts out as if in offering. Near the large control panel outside, a column of spongy scarlet discs hovers silently, reminding you of nothing so much as giant blood platelets or congealing scabs. You take a deep breath and step into the pod. The staff in your hand vibrates slightly, and you feel yourself bathed in energies. Remain calm. This is all well within normal parameters. The minor explosion that follows surely is not. Sudden klaxons blare. The nearby platelets vibrate furiously, and the deactivated construct's arm begins to spark and flare. Get out! The sorrow is going to destroy you! Your nemesis manifests in the great hall. Its form is tenuous, wispy. As it congeals, it gains solidity in fits and starts. The moon's internal defenses are slowing it, but they will not be enough to keep it out. As you watch, the sorrow shrugs itself past another line of defenses, jerking itself toward a more terrible reality. Its focus snaps towards you. It coils and writhes, desperate to wipe you from existence. Get to another body. We can always make a new catalyst. Go! Try to pull off one of the vibrating platelets. Why? Why would I do that? Study the map to find the way to the escape pods. Examine the construct. Smashing machinery? Why is smashing involved in examining the construct? The construct itself is beyond repair, but a quick study reveals that each of the construct's limbs were designed for independent power. So even though most of the construct is quiescent, its spiked powered hand is not. Working quickly, you detach it from the construct's frame. It will be a suitable gauntlet. The powers that course through it might well serve to delay the sorrow's advance. Try to pull off one of the vibrating platelets. You take hold of one of the discs. Your fingers sink into its spongy material, and with a slight twist of your wrist, you detach it from the column of energy that holds it. It hums and cycles in a pitch that makes your eyes shudder. With each cycle, the disc shifts your vision, changing the colors you perceive. The tides churn within you as you hold it. It may have some effect on the sorrow. Study the map to find the way to the escape pods. It's a multi-level projection. Its orientation and layout is prepared in a way that is naturally pleasing to your eye, and you trace the route to a nearby escape cocoon without difficulty. You'll have to remember the layout of the halls, but the map is clear enough that you think you can remember the route. You feel the moon shudder. Then you feel it tear. The alarms in the Great Hall have begun to strobe. The lights flicker. The moon's moist air suddenly shrieks past you. The sorrow has breached its walls. The hallway branches, with countless offshoots piercing the winding passages of the moon. You know that your escape lies down one of these routes. Your study of the map puts you in good stead here. You count down the passages, and every landmark that you expect arrives when you expect it. As you race through the halls, you see a small slot in the wall. It holds a firm green gel that you know contains some kind of memory. Try to figure out how the green memory gel works. You press your forehead to the gel. It soaks into your skin, leaving behind a dry viridian paste. You are constructing the staff you hold. The spectre speaks over your shoulder. This is strange, isn't it? Knowing that I'm watching you make my home, that I'm going to be updated in a week with your experiences, that my consciousness will fill this moon, and thus so will you, in an unbroken indefinite chain. You say, I don't hold any illusions about the sanctity of consciousness. But then you know that already. He laughs aloud. This conversation is turning us into a solipsis. What? A theory holding that the self can know nothing but its own modifications, and that the self is the only existent thing. Also, extreme egocentrism. Solipsism is the philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist. Okay. Basically, NPC theory. We have been called worse. The memory fades. Keep running. Get to the escape pods. You pound into the bay, the doors shutting behind you. Your breath comes hot in your chest. You double over to catch your breath. Several cocoons are arrayed along the outer wall. You'll need to activate one, and it will spin its webbing around you. The smart membrane is tough, heat-resistant, and it will transfer the entirety of the kinetic force away from you at the moment of impact. You see an injection of some sort, but it's across the bay. You might not have time to reach it. Welcome back. Oh, you were sleeping? Well, this is probably the absolute final part of the game. So, spoiler warnings. We're basically finding out everything right now. The sorrow tears apart the wall in a fury of light and tidal energy. The flickering energies inside its hood betray no emotion except hunger. It is inexorable. The most you can hope to do is slow it. Use the gauntlet that you took from the construct. You slip the gauntlet over your hand and hold it out in a warding gesture. The energy that blasts from it tears the sorrow apart, decohering it utterly, stripping your foe to its component filaments. I honestly didn't think that would work, mutters the spectre. Silence reigns in the bay for a moment, and then the sorrow manifests again, threads of acid smoke weaving themselves together. Guess not. You only have one defense left. You hardly trust it will be enough to get you to the cocoons, and off this doomed moon. Better to run straight for the only hope of escape. I don't remember what he said about the injection. Run across the bay to use the injection.
Just what I needed.
You race across the room and snatch the syringe from its case. Reading the label, you see that it is a stimulant, designed especially for a cast-off. It confers heightened awareness, resistance to pain, and improved accuracy, focus. And you reason if you use it now, it's in your own body. It might carry into the future if you survive the present. You slap the injector into your thigh and trigger it. You feel instantly calmer, the world is brighter, and you can hear the sorrow's inexorable progress. You have a few bare moments before it comes. The sorrow recovers all too quickly from your previous attack and comes for you again. Use the platelet you tore from the column of energy to slow the sorrow. You hurl the platelet across the bay. The instant it leaves your fingers, it begins to change its shape. It becomes a cloth, a shroud, and it curls over the sorrow, enveloping your enemy. It molds itself across the creature like a giant scab, fixing the sorrow in place. For a moment, you dare to hope that you have arrested its motion. But the scabrous fabric cracks, peels, and falls to the floor in a pile of organic flakes. Climb into the escape pod. You slip into the cocoon, activate the ejection sequence, and trigger it. The membrane embraces you, forcing you to drop the staff, and begins to slide free of the killing ground of the moon. And then your tattoo blazes, as if it's tearing open. An onslaught of the tides, all in blue and silver. A stream of information too fast and too large to process. A mighty blast buffets the cocoon, and you feel one of the sorrow's inky tendrils caress your cheek and burn into your mind, searing away knowledge and memory, even as you tumble toward the earth. Amidst unspeakable pain, you feel something new forming within you, but you lose consciousness before you can identify what it is. I'd hoped you would open that for me, and here we are, the spectre says, and his voice is not tied to his body. It pours from the walls around you, from the shifting floor beneath your feet. It's time for some hard truths, child. Before he can finish, the air twists in the room. An explosion of light and a scarred figure steps out of it. How is this for truth? Her voice is worn and hard behind her mask. The resonance is mine. It belongs to me and all cast-offs. I have worked too hard for it to be otherwise. Stand aside, old man. And let us determine our own destiny. His smile is disconcerting. Your destiny? You are a part of me. Your destiny was never yours to determine, and the resonance is not yours to claim. He gestures a hand in your direction. Only the latest cast-off can open the door. That body and I are the only ones capable of using the power beyond. You are out of your depth, Marillo, and this no longer concerns you. He ignores her and turns to you. I needed you to open the door, and you've done that. The cage I can handle on my own. His voice presses down on you like a hand, as if trying to drop you to your knees. When I enter the resonance, it will be to return my errant children to my mind where they belong. Leave me to it, and we have no further quarry. What say you? I'll die before I let you in there. Please, the Spectre mutters. There's no need for ultimatums and dire threats. This moment is what you were made for. And tell me, is your plan to deal with the sorrow any better? Do you even have one? At least he acts on others' behalf. He looks at the ghostly form of the changing god's daughter as if noticing her for the first time. His surprise is a brief chill wind, whipping across the darkness between you. You, he mutters. You're her ghost, the one that haunts me. My daughter is dead, do you hear me? I can't bring her back no matter how hard I try. Is that so? She has nothing more to say, but her brow crinkles just slightly. She's confused, as though she doesn't recognize the spectre as her father. Is that creature my father? He looks like what I remember, but he doesn't feel. He shakes his head. Enough. I don't wish to fight you. Cast off. But neither will you keep me from this. What will it be? You're right. You've earned this. Lowers silver tide. This is the only thing I've ever seen that lowers the tide. There's another option. This is your daughter's full consciousness. If we merge all of the cast-offs with her, she can finally be saved. The resonance is not yours to claim. The real changing god died when I was born. You're just a backup of his memories. Ridiculous, the Chalcedon growls. I've served our sire for centuries. This is him. You speak in simple terms, the spectre says, arcing an eyebrow. But you're dense, even for one of my cast-offs. I am the changing god, and you are standing in my way. If you were truly this changing god, then this woman... She points to the changing god's daughter. Even if this woman were just a memory, she should recognize you as her father, don't you think? Rin looks kindly on the ghostly woman, then back at the spectre. But I saw it. I saw it on her face when you challenged her. You were a stranger to her. He flinches and turns to face her. She meets his eyes, blinking once, and shakes her head. You're not her, he says. Then with more force he repeats himself. You're not her. Of course you don't know me. He turns his head from her entirely, staring into the dark. He sighs. I remember speaking to you on the moon. You're not the changing god. You're an assistant, an update. Consciousness needs to be continuous. You're a copy of what the changing god was. Is there any heir to the mantle of the change? If there's any heir to the mantle of the changing god, it's me. I've been able to change the past through the mirrors ever since I awoke. You need me in ways the changing god wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. Be honest. Don't you have any doubts? The changing god wouldn't have lost when we fought. Be honest. Don't you have any doubts? Of course I do. Your careless creation has left me, trapped here. I've had to fight for every inch of control. He turns grim eyes to the darkness above. He growls under his breath. Admit it. You're not the changing god. Please, he growls. You asked for honesty and I've given it. Here's more. I'll have my body and my life back, even if I have to burn you out of my mind. I remember speaking to you on the moon. You're not the changing god. You're an assistant, an update. He answers slowly. And I said the conversation was turning us into a solipsist, and we said we've been called worse. His voice sharpens. But we also said that we hold no illusions about the sanctity of consciousness. That remains true. He sighs. You need me in ways that changing God wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. You oversimplify. The accident made me a prisoner here, and now, a short time later, I have control here, in the very root of your mind. But there is something new in his eyes now. Fear. Enough of this, he mutters. But there is no anger in his voice anymore. No fire, only a great wariness. His gaze moves from you to the others in the room. You're right. At first I convinced myself I wasn't whole anymore, that something had broken in me, or been left behind. He stares at his hand, or through it. But it makes sense. I'm not him. I'm close. As close as anyone but the changing god. I'm close. As close as anyone. But the changing god is dead.
I'll remember that.
He lets his hand fall. Bit by bit, he begins fading away. Is it true then? Has our sire been gone all this time? He studies you for a moment. It would seem you and I no longer have a quarrel. You did it! He's gone! She barks a short laugh. You've accomplished something I could never achieve. I suppose I owe you my gratitude.
Hey, it looks like you've got this, and
She looks anxiously over her shoulder, as though someone had called her name.
I can't stay. I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm glad I got to see you one more time, though.
Why can't you say? Ha! I wasn't just sitting around waiting to rescue you, you know. I was actually in the middle of something. She adjusts her pack and glances over her shoulder again. Anyway, this is your world, not mine. You know that. Pathfinder. She adjusts her pack and glances over her shoulder again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play Chaotic Evil. Last time I played Lawful Good. Finishing DLC. I did all the DLC except for the Endless Dungeon thing. But yeah. We did Lawful Good, now we're doing Chaotic Evil. I want to see how badly the game handles it. Because there's like a Chaotic Evil attack option in like every dialogue. And every time I picked it in my Lawful Good run, it just didn't let me do anything. I still have your God of Finding if I need you again. Her eyes brighten. Yes, you do. He's your God now. He'll call me if you need me. She glances behind her again. Even if he doesn't, you will always be with me. I wouldn't be who I am without you. Suddenly, she lunges forward and throws her arms around you. It's amazing how tall she is. Taller than you, even. She kisses you on the cheek. When she pulls back and smiles, her tears are barely noticeable.
Farewell, my friend. My home and hearth and bread are forever yours.
A portal opens suddenly. The bright light and trees you remember from before spill out of it. She waves one last time and turns to step through it.
Here.
Ability or skill? Lore mystical. extra effort. You have no level. Alright,
Yes.
You won. Now do what you came to do. Well, are you going to open it, or do I have to kill you and open it myself? We no longer have any quarrel. Do what you came here to do.
I'm ready.
Pulsing waves of heat roll down the stairs, and you hear a low, continuous whirring that's somewhere between a sigh and a melody. Door is singing, as though welcoming you back. Even in this low light, the wheel at the bottom of the door fairly glows. You feel your palms tingle at the sight of it. Something clicks in your mind, and the door answers. Hidden gears spin behind the cage. The door is opening for you and you alone. Sit. The sorrow is here in its full power, wearing the wearing the unquiet psyches of its victims like a tattered cloak. Filaments of light and energy leak from it, strange colors that correspond to no tides you know. Its tendrils flutter and flap in an unseen breeze. You come before me at last, yet we have met so many times before. Its voice is a hissing multitude. One voice stands atop the rest, a woman's voice, soft and deep. It gives me no pleasure to meet you in this place, but you and your kind have left me no choice. Every body your sire creates abuses those forces you call the tides. They draw energy from those around them. In so doing, you weaken the seals and energy you do not comprehend. You increase the amount of suffering in the world. Every attempt at mitigating that damage has failed. Every step results in misery. You are the first in millennia to hear me speak in an embodied language. You are persistent, tenacious and durable, and so perhaps words will suffice where destruction has failed. It is time to bring this experiment in immortality to a close. While the creature speaks, its thoughts assault you, crushing your mind in an alien embrace. It takes an extreme effort of will to shut them out, just so you can speak. The sorrow's gaze rests upon I remember you, the little toy, cowering trapped in the ruins I made of our world so long ago. To show you mercy then, it was not a kindness, was it? Its tendrils unfurl towards with the gentle care of an outstretched hand. You have lived too long. Come, join the rest of your world. I promise it will not hurt. Hesitates at your side. You feel its wordless need, warring with the thrumming bonds of its loyalty to you. What do you mean, join the rest of your world? Well, the thing is, we switched to him because Rin went away, so our bonds with him are like trash. He's like level 2. I don't think he's level 3 yet. What do you mean, join the rest of your world? I offer oblivion, not everlasting torment, not punishment. I offer your immortality, companion, the death it... I offer your immortal companion, the death it has always dreamed of. The sorrow says simply. Its eyeless gaze rests on I offer peace, it says softly. You and are of the same world. The masters of our civilization treated the tides as their playthings. They polluted the tides and they suffered for it. Their suffering spilled out of the world and across the borders of reality. The sorrow's tendrils close around the folds of her moaning cloak. They created me to cauterize their self-inflicted wound. I did so. Its gaze rests again on I understand your companion more than you can imagine. We are created beings, each with a purpose. We are servants of the tides. Pity tinges the sorrow's multitude of voices. I was created with agency. Your companion has none. It must teach the tides, just as you must breathe, even though it knows the ruinous cost. It's undeniably true. You feel mingled pride at your accomplishments, and the shame beneath that pride, poisonous and hot. Inches towards the sorrow, then pauses, glancing back at you. You feel a yearning from a desire for the sorrow's gift. Alright. Go, goodbye, and thank you. Strokes your ankle gently one last time. Then, it turns toward the towering being opposite you. Dark tendrils close around your tiny companion, and is gone. Nothing remains but dying motes of light, the color of eyes, drifting into the air. The sorrow nods. Your companion has decided its fate. Let us return to our discussion of yours, and of the harm your kind has done to the tides. I'm just trying to stop the abuse of the tides. Are you? We shall see. I know what they say of me. Destroyer of civilizations, death's mistress, soul taker, ender of the cycle. Yet I take no pleasure in destruction. My pursuit of your kind has been solely a matter of expedience, but you have come this far. Despite my attempts to stop you, I will give you a last chance at an alternate solution. When Azir asked you what one life matters, you replied that it does not. That all make their own lives and their own truths matter. We shall see if you stand by those words. Do you play psychological horror games? Not really. I don't like the horror genre. I mean, I mostly play RPGs. What is this place? This place is the central chamber of your collective mind space. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was but a shadow. In this place you touch the knowledge and strength of every cast-off ever created. Why are you here? When you escaped me on the moon, I placed a piece of myself here, as a last resort. I have ridden here in your mind since then. Indeed, I could not have found the moon had you not returned to it in the mirror, bringing me along with you. I called myself to myself in that reality, reaching the station's defenses to close the loop of time that brought me here, all to ensure that the power of the resonance is not abused, that your kind does not worsen the world again. Okay, so you found me on the moon, and then you touched me on the moon, and that let you come to the moon when I brought you to the moon. Okay. What are you? I am a guardian, a protector, a legacy of a forgotten people, tasked to watch over that which they failed to defend. Azir said she never used a tidal surge in her life. How did she abuse the tides? The surges are one manifestation of that suffering, but your kind draw and distort the energy of the tides at a level you cannot understand. Her passage left lovers squabbling, children crying, and conflicts escalated that might have been avoided. Though she suspected this truth and sought the shelter of Mila West, even she has been the author of invisible miseries. Every one of you is the same. He put a copy of himself in you to call him to you if you ever got close to the important thing. No. I mean, he was never at the moon, but then he was at the moon. And then he couldn't catch us. Like, it was only a small fragment of himself inside our mind. And then he used that fragment to bring himself to the moon, but then we escaped him on the moon again. That's why he didn't. I convinced the Spectre that the true changing god is dead. Is this true? It is late to speak of truths and identities. The one you call the Spectre was the embodiment of the changing god's life and memories. When you convinced him he was dead, that became true enough. All that remains of the changing god, all that he is and was, is here now, in the labyrinth. So, what happens now? I think I understand. I mean, it's a paradox, so it doesn't make sense. So what happens now? It's up to you. The question is, with what purpose have you come? I never meant to come here. I mean, I came here for multiple reasons. It is not. It's only connected. It's a spiritual successor. It's very similar in a lot of ways, but also not. With what purpose have you come? I came here to stop you from hunting us. Came here to keep the changing god from snuffing out our existence. I mean, both are true. I came here to stop you from hunting us. I came here to keep the changing god from snuffing out our existence. It pauses for a moment. The fate of the cast-offs hangs by a precarious thread. Tread carefully. My sire believed that subsuming all the cast-offs into himself would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? It sounds almost thoughtful. Perhaps, for a time, if he could resist making no further cast-offs. But I have trailed him across the centuries, and I know that he could not resist. The lure of new experience is too strong for him to resist. He would awaken me again and again. The first said that severing the connection between us would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? The connection of which he speaks is the labyrinth itself. You would no longer draw your power from this place, and my pursuit of you would cease. Your sister's solution would have shattered this place. It would have destroyed the title seals that protect the populace from madness. My charter is to guard those seals, to protect that energy. Had her plan actually worked, it would have destroyed the minds of thousands. I could not allow that to occur. Is there another way to sever the title connection? The resonance chamber was a blunt instrument. Alone, it would have shattered and destroyed the labyrinth. The resonance, however, is a sharp edge. It can sever the connection cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose to the integrity of the tidal energies. It is the wise choice. What if I just want everything back to the way it was? Is that possible? What do you mean, to the way it was? It considers your words, teasing out the ramifications. At last it speaks. Yes, you and your kind can continue to exist, and I will continue to hunt you down. The ever-pressing looming specter of your mortality, erasing you from history one by one. I will allow this. It seems like you'll allow any choice I make. What will you oppose? It hesitates, as it's not sure it should impart this information. The resonance has the power to combine and sever, and to remove the protections over the tides entirely. Doing so will unfetter a truly dangerous force, imperiling the land and the psychic landscape for millennia. I cannot permit this choice, and will resist it with all my strength. Remove the protections. Protections like you. I am a part of those protections, but not the only part. The released tidal force would flow across this territory, devastating the mental landscape. Many would suffer serious damage to their sanity. and others would find travel through the resultant psychic pollution impossible for thousands of years. It draws itself to a more sinister form. This I will not allow. How do I choose? I have entwined myself through every piece of this place. It is mine. Tell me your choice and I will make it reality, if I approve. If you prefer we all die, why don't you just sever the connection? I have manifested here, but I do not control the resonance itself. I am the lock on the door, while your thoughts are the key. Your will remains paramount in this place. I can resist your choice, but I cannot make the choice for you. What if the cast-offs were subsumed into someone else? Someone who wouldn't perpetuate the cycle? Could you find such a person, I would consider it an ideal solution. Yet consider this space. The sorrow's arms sweep across the resonance, strangely aflutter, their movements bending your perception. This is a space too large for any mortal mind. Even one fractured through reality cannot hold it all. Only someone already attuned to the labyrinth might successfully contain your minds. Only one of your kind. What if you don't approve of my choice? Then I will oppose you with all my strength. That is why I'm here. Very well, I'm ready to make my choice. It ripples in the mental breeze that flows from your confidence. I await your decision. I'll finish the changing God's work and merge all the cast-offs into my own consciousness. We cast-offs are a cancer. I will sever the tidal connections to excise our influence on the world. None of these choices are right, and I have no right to choose the fate of so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. The only blameless in all of this is Mika, mortal daughter of the changing god. Merge our consciousnesses into her, and she'll live out her days in my body. My eldest sister, the first, I choose her as the repository of our minds. Merge us all into Matkina. What? I reject your authority, Sorrow. I will use the resonance to destroy you, and all of us will live free. I mean, all of the options are kind of bad. Be honest. Like, resurrecting Mika? She doesn't want to be resurrected. She's been dead for millennia. And she doesn't want all of that on her shoulders. Merging all of the cast-offs into my own conscious means everyone dies. Cast-offs are a cancer. I will sever the tidal connection to exercise our influence on the world. That means everyone dies. I have no right to choose the fate of so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. That means the Sorrow continues to hunt and kill us. My eldest sister, the first, I choose her as the repository of our minds. Why? That's just rude. Same with the mergers all into Matkina. I reject your authority, Sorrow. I will use the resonance to destroy you. And all of us will live free. That's also bad if it destroys the world for thousands of years. I want to ask some more questions first. Tell me again what would happen if we severed the connection between cast-offs. You and your kind would die, requiring no intervention from me. It would be a choice you made to eliminate the danger you pose, once and for all. The reset's the least bad choice? I don't know, I think it's like one of the worst choices. Because that would just, like, it would just delay the inevitable, and all it would do is just force more death and suffering on the world until he kills everyone. But I think I'll do this. I'll finish the Changing Gods work and merge all the cast-offs into my own consciousness. Stop right there. Stop! How dare you make a choice for the rest of us? You are the youngest cast-off, the least experienced. You would snatch our lives from us because of your immaturity and your egotism. Each of us should have a right to determine our fate. She shakes her head sadly. You're as bad as the man who created us. Worse even, because you know our consciousnesses exist separately from his. Our protest is not without merit. Your life is short, your experience is few. Your choice holds the power to kill many, and you choose to spare your own life. You would adopt the goal of your creator. You believe that you can succeed where he has failed. Before I permit this, answer me one question. Why have you made this choice? If you want a brutally honest answer, it's because I don't want to die. Their lives should be preserved. I will honor their memories. The other cast-offs have lived long lives. I haven't a chance to live mine at all. Similar to the main characters from Planescape? No, not at all. Not at all. I know my mind. I'm the only one I can trust, never to make any new cast-offs. She turns her mask toward you as she appraises your statement. Then she nods sharply. It's possible. I might be tempted. A tendril snakes across your eyes. Perhaps. You have shown no concern for others in this life. Now that you know the harm you would cause to countless individuals, perhaps you could resist the lure of immortality. The sorrow is quiet for one terrible moment. If this is your will, I do not choose to oppose you. Let it be done. The sorrow stretches its arms. Prepare yourself. The lights that dance through its form coalesce. The tormented minds that hang within it begin to stream away, drawn to some hidden singularity at the heart of the chamber. The sorrow dissolves, thread by thread, into that invisible whole, decohering into a lattice, a ring, a nearly comprehensible language of symbols and thoughts. Laying its purpose bare, a pure white light grows at the heart of the resonance, reaching toward you. The light envelops you in a soft embrace. The walls of the labyrinth collapse around you. You become the singularity. And the minds of the surviving cast-offs trickle toward you. A stream, a torrent, a flood, a tsunami of experience and memories that stretch across centuries and worlds, unimagined, and you remember it all. The pain and tragedy and suffering and triumph. All the motes and dreams of countless others trying to leave their mark on the world. Let the memories come. The torrent continues as you surrender control. The memories of cast-offs you have met, the ones you will never meet, fill your mind and overwhelm you. You taste their bitter notes and their sweet. You taste their bitter notes and their sweet. The knowledge of solitude, and the deaths of friends, every life, every love, every enemy, the first kiss, the first broken heart, the triumph of justice served, the ashen thrill of revenge, realized sadness, joy, fear, anger, the secrets hidden, and the truths revealed. All their memories and hopes congeal and compress into you. They threaten to overwhelm you, a rising tide of demands and wills honed by centuries of life, all of them trying to assert their personalities and their histories. You struggle to retain your identity amidst the welter of confusion and time. After an eternity of will, a moment frozen in stasis, you drown out the cacophony of experience. You have triumphed, and then the memories are gone. Only your mind remains, woken, cocooned in radiance. Yeah, one of the options was the boss fight. You can do a lot of battle in this game if you want to, I think. You awaken on the cold floor of the Memovira's fortress. When you open your eyes, vertigo assails you, and a momentary panic when you realize the sorrow hovers here, its tendrils coiling and twisting. You sit up. The detritus of the battle surrounds you, but you feel a quietness in the room, a lack. It takes you a moment, and then you realize The first is gone, as are all her allies. Not just dead, but vanished utterly. Even Matkina is gone. No sign remains of her passage. The resonance is sealed, the tides once again at rest. Your siblings are a part of you now. Our journey is concluded. Where did the other cast-offs go? Well, we know that, but let's ask anyway. They were creatures of the tides, held together by the skill of your creator. When they lost that connection and were drawn into the resonance, their bodies decohered. I removed their physical remains. Are you done hunting me then? Unless you resume your sire's experiments or tamper with the tidal energies in some other way, we shall not meet again. It considers its next words carefully. But should you do, I will not hesitate to destroy you utterly. Our understanding is not a friendship. Turn to Eretis. What will you do now?
Now? The now has never felt so much like an end until, well, now. I suppose I could find another beginning? That's what I'd like. Saving the world for someone else.
Go now. Choose a wiser path than your sire, and we will not meet again. The sorrow fades into the air, then it's gone. Set out to atone for the wrongs you've done. I haven't done any wrongs. Return to Mila West to rebuild. Why? There is no point in rebuilding Mila West. Because all the cast-offs are dead, and Mila West is nothing but a cast-off sanctuary. And the wrongs I've done is, I guess, killing every single cast-off that has ever lived. Find a new path, a strong one. I have no idea what that means. Let's go with that one. Sound of battle rings in the smoky air, but you smile to yourself. Let lesser creatures question themselves. Let others shudder and tremble at the damage their decisions have done. Your future is yours to shape as you will, and damn the consequences. What does that mean? It does. Yeah, it does have. Like the first thing your companions say are voice acted, more or less. The absence of the cast-offs changed the Ninth World. Sometimes for the better, often for the worse. For the cast-offs were powerful, and seats of power do not remain empty or uncontested for long. And yet, they were never seen again. Their minds dwelled on in dull, insensate darkness, trapped in a singular mind for eternity, or near enough. You were remembered for your great acts of compassion and sacrifice. For years to come, tales of your life inspired the people of the Ninth World to follow the murmuring of their conscience and protect those who could not protect themselves. Allegan sought his friend Orth, but never found him. In despair, he journeyed west through Augur Kala and into the Steadfast. None could provide him with the answers he sought, and he became a dead-eyed mercenary, hurling his living tattoos with abandon. He was a haunted man. He never knew what became of his family, and he never stopped looking. On the day of his death, the tattoos he bore screamed aloud and disappeared. What became of Calistige, no one knows. Some say she wandered into the deserts around Sagas. Others say she was found dead on the streets shortly after the most recent Bloomquake, and others still say she wanders the known world, seeking something forever beyond reach. Why did that thing... The hero Eretis was never seen again, but in a nameless field not far from the Valley of Dead Heroes, an aging herdsman drove his newly brought Yol towards a run-down hut. Humming to himself, he rebuilt the hut stone by stone. That night he slept better than he had in years. He lived out his many years as a stranger to everyone who saw him in the tiny town, where he bought his supplies, and one day, a shopkeeper realized he hadn't seen the herdsman in months. That was the last time anyone thought of the man Eretis had become. As the sorrow promised, felt no pain when it died. It joined the others of its kind in peace, forever and ever. Rin returned to her world content. She had rescued the one who had so kindly rescued her. In so doing, she brought closure to a significant part of her life. She could never forget the last cast off. As for the rest of her story, that has yet to be written. Pico and Keek spent a long life together. Eventually, Pico convinced Keek there were better jobs on the streets above. They had it hard, but they always had each other. They eventually married and left Sega's protectorate in search of a quieter life. Sega's records do not relate what happened to Zeb, because the House of Empty Time took him into the future. He found a good family, but even so he was lonely. Zebak, his father, returned to their home in Cliff's Edge, or what was left of it. He found no trace of his children, but Alcen Piri informed him what had happened. He too was lonely to the end of his days. The veterans of the Fifth Eye enjoyed their retirement from the psychic wars. They drank, they laughed, they retold the same tales to anyone who would listen, until one by one their minds faded, and soon there was only Ziob, drinking with her friends by herself. The tiny construct children of the crippled foreman scattered throughout the city. They began building things at random, much to the consternation of the master foreman. Finally, the master foreman called for his workers to bring the small constructs into him. He was surprised at how much they had grown. Apparently they had been building themselves, as well as random pieces of the city. He now instructs them, treating them as he does his human workers, although it is clear he favors them more. What's unclear is how well they will continue to follow his instructions. Oh, boy. The Sticha traveled long and far to reach their new home. Many died along the way, the rocks between Sagas and the new rock providing very little in the way of sustenance for them. But they reached it in the end, and forged a new home for themselves. They flourished there for a long time. With Inifir gone, Marcissa became the leader of the Children of the Endless Gate. The gate was never opened in the valley, and the cultists eventually left. Although they never understood why the cultists had come, Ronos and the other surviving memorialists were able to clean and rebuild. There were so few of them left, so it took months before the last of the blood was removed. They never did get rid of the smells. The bloom was relatively quiet for days. After the Sorrow's attack on the Memovira's fortress, nearly all of the Memovira's soldiers had fled, and the rest of the bloom's denizens waited quietly, wondering what would happen. When the Memovira did not return, and nobody rose up to take her place, that's when the fighting began. It started with the mutants of Little Nihilish, but soon every faction was involved. The bloom became a deadly battleground, one the bloom itself seemed to encourage, engorging itself on the lusts of its denizens. Ruska harbored a small contingent of civilians inside the fortress, hoping that the violence would die down. They are still there, hoping. Renard, Artaglio's second, continued in his commanding officer's traditions as best as he could. Artaglio's irregulars eked out a modest life in Convergent's slump, even without their leader. When the troubles in the bloom started, Renard and his men barricaded Convergent's slump. They are still there, though the bloom itself tears down every barricade they erect. They simply build another one, making sure the slump at least remains safe. What happened to the space dudes? The ruins of Mila West lie broken, untouched. It is more than a century before a group of explorers stumble upon them, wondering what happened in this place. What in the ninth world could have caused so much destruction? What they didn't tell me? What happened to the space guys? Oh well. That's that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was decent. It could have been improved, but I don't know. What games did these guys make before, if at all? I don't know who made it. Does this work? Click it and then store page. In Exile Entertainment. Oh, they made a lot of games. Hmm. Yeah, Wasteland 3. I need to play that later as well. But yeah, I kind of like the game. I still think it's too short. And that's a big issue for me. Because there's too much of a focus on side quests and too little focus on the main story. And that's generally not a good thing. How long did that take? 45 hours or something. But that's with reading all the text out loud and doing almost all the side quests. So, yeah. Like the main story, if you skip past everything, it's like 20 hours or something. It's really short. And that's a rather common gripe for me, at least, for story games with like exploration and stuff, that they just don't focus on the main story enough. Like side quests are nice, but like the main story is the main story. Like it can't be neglected. Like that's my main gripe with Witcher 3 as well. And it's otherwise one of my favorite RPG games, but I still think the main story is terrible. Because it doesn't have a real main story in my opinion. It's just a bunch of side quests that are like vaguely connected to like the things that are supposed to happen in the end, you know? And you just like meet some characters and you deal with completely unrelated stuff, and then you get to the end and you solve the game. This game was a lot better in that sense though, because a lot of the side quests were heavily related to the main story in a way. Like they weren't, but you still got like glimpses into the past and the lore of the game. Or not the lore, but rather like the history of the changing god, I guess. Because the changing god is basically involved in every single thing that has happened in the entire game. So pretty much everything you learn about is related to him in some way. And I think that was a nice touch. And I think that's how side quests should be in games. Like, sure, they can be completely separate somewhat, but I still think they should be connected to like the main core story of the game. It shouldn't just be some random trash shit that's happening that you just get like XP for and some gold coins. That's just, I don't know. I just think that's bad storytelling, because you are telling a story, and if you're just doing like random shit, then you might as well just have made a procedural game or something that's all about that instead. That's just how I feel about that. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I think this game was pretty decent. It was definitely better than Planescape. Easily. Planescape's story is terrible. I thought it was awful. Like it's well written, but like the actual contents of the story, like the main character's backstory and everything, like it's just not interesting. It was super bland. I don't know. And yeah, except for the massive amounts of text, I liked it. Like I've seen people complain about the party members being boring as well, but I thought they were actually better than average. Like, they're definitely not worse than anything you have in Baldur's Gate 2 or in Pathfinder, for example. They do suffer a little bit because the story was too short. So you don't really get like the character development and the character storylines have to have a certain length. Otherwise, you don't have enough meat on it to have like the end have enough of an impact, because you don't have enough of a bond with the characters, etc., etc. It's the same reason why I don't like Cyberpunk's story. And you asked what my ideal length for a game is, and honestly, it doesn't matter. It all depends on the game. So 20 hours is fine if the game is like heavily story focused and very, very directed and not like side quests out the asshole. But 20 hours is probably too short. I would probably say around 40 for an RPG. For the main quest ish, 30, 40. But it depends. Like, you don't want a 40-hour long FPS game, even if it is story based. Probably not. Well, Cyberpunk would have been better if the main story was like 40 hours, to be honest. So, I don't know. Yeah. But I think enough about that. It's only 7 o'clock. I guess we can start Pathfinder. Got nothing better to do. Yeah, the dialogue is over verbose. That's the problem. I do like it because it is intentionally overwritten, and that's to make it feel like what's the word? Like foreign, alien. And it succeeds in it, even though it might overdo it somewhat. But like I said, it's basically taking place like 20,000 years into the future or something, or more. So it kind of needs it to really push that, I guess. Just needed to merge some of the side quests into the main story. Yeah, I mean, I just think that the main story should have been somewhat longer, just had more meat to it, so that you actually have a connection to, to Johnny. Especially considering what the ending is, or what all of the endings are. Because if you don't have a good like emotional connection to Johnny, then all of the endings are fucking ass. So I don't know. But we'll start Pathfinder because I'm not even sure what character I want to play. Like, I think I know, but I'm not entirely convinced. The problem is that I don't really know what portrait I want to use. That's the main issue. But I'm gonna restart the stream just so it cuts off this VOD, so I can just name the next one Pathfinder, because otherwise it's a pain in the ass to split them. So I'll be right back in like 10 seconds.